Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribestar. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout number 344. You got a very interesting series of topics tonight, but before we get into it, I'm your brave and fearless host, Naroki5. Just so you know, with me, I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every fucking minute of it, just so you all know. With me tonight is, of course, Rearson, who not only enjoys every minute of his sanity, but actually curdles up to it at night and speaks to it lovingly. So, Rearson, introduce yourself.
I don't even know what to start with that one. If it wasn't for the camaraderie that we've got, I would say this: someone's got some serious issues and thinks that I do things that I do not do. But that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, okay. It's okay that you whisper sweet nothings to your insanity at night. That's okay. And, of course, V is with us as well.
But yeah, because I sure as hell will not be whispering sweet nothings in your ear ever. Anyway, time for my manly pill.
Well, you won't be whispering nothing when you get my gift. I happen to go into a sex shop, and they have all kinds of manner of ball gags. I could only think of you, Steve. It's just things I've never seen. I couldn't even imagine. It's like, okay, yeah, this is like
I got
2020.
I got 3 words for you. Go fuck yourself.
Well, with some of the stuff I've seen in these shops, it's so futuristic. You know, I actually thought about. Heyo.
And
my butt puckered up a little bit.
Actually, speaking of which, you might as well throw in the sponsors since I've brought that part up.
Okay, and for those of you who don't know, yes, our sponsor tonight, Orange Man Bad Handball. That's right. If you're still not over 2016 and just cannot stop tweeting about Donald Trump, yes, Orange Man Hand Balm is the thing for you. That's right. You know, that way when you finish tweeting about Donald Trump for the 18th fucking time in one day, you can go into the bathroom and just get it out of your system by going, Orange Man Bad, 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 Orange Man Bad. And of course, don't forget to enjoy our 2 new products, Orange Man Bad Joint and Muscle, for those suspicious cases of tendonitis you develop in your shoulder and your elbow and your wrist, and Orange Man Bad lip balm, cause sucky to your favorite politician who you think might actually make a difference. That's right, the whole width of the Orange Man Bad line of product. Don't forget to scream in the phone, Orange Man Bad, to get 10% off your first order. And if you forget that, well, we have the memory rock, which is just basically a rock with the word memory on it. If you can't remember, just keep tapping yourself in the head like this until your memory returns or unconsciousness resolves. That's right, the Orange Man Bad memory rock, also from the Orange Man Bad products. And now back to the show. All right. So
wait, Joe Biden is a firm believer in the product. He gives it 2 thumbs up.
Oh, yes, he does. Except, of course, you know, he's likely so mentally enfeebled that he probably can't. He probably gives them a thumbs down, thinking that it's an up. But Biden's not actually on the list of topics tonight. But you know, more power to him. For those who there's kind of a local flavor to the topics this week. Okay. And I mean, I had to do it because it was brought to my attention. Topic number 1, Edmonton Mayor and City Council hiding the drug problem in the city. Topic number 2, Smith invokes the notwithstanding clause in Constitution over the national energy policy. 3, riots erupt in Ireland over immigrant attacking children. Specifically, Conor, we'll mention what happened to Conor McGregor. 4, have wokesters officially killed Doctor Who? Topic number 5, Elon Musk tells Disney CEO Bob Iger to go fuck himself. 6,
And D for that matter.
Yeah. 6, media is attempting to backpedal for attacking Native American boy for wearing Kansas City Chief colors and headdress at a football game. And of course, I got Karen J. Phillips. And topic number 7, epic scumbag Henry Kissinger finally dead at 100. All right. So let's just get right into this. Is it being recorded? Is the recording on? Okay, I gotta better make sure the recording is on here. It says there's a call. Oh no, it says the recording is on. So all right, they've changed things around a little bit here on Skype again because they just cannot leave well enough alone. Okay, so the early part of this week, Rebel News, which is not a site that I will peruse quite frequently, but this was like literally right at the top of my feed. It was called I believe it was called the Edmonton Drug Train. I think I've actually posted it up here. If I didn't, I'm going to have to find it and post it up here. But I didn't know. One of the excuses that I've been hearing from a lot of the left in the city is, oh, well, we're so fortunate. We don't have the same issues that Vancouver does, right? And if you walk, except of course when you walk around, because and Rearson will talk about this in regards to where he lives. But I mean, when you take a walk around downtown Edmonton, you can clearly see that there's businesses for instance, when I drive down Jasper Avenue, I can clearly see a lot of businesses that are shuttering and closing up shop downtown. So the same thing that's happening in the city that we're recently is also happening here. The downtown mall has lost most of the big box stores in downtown Edmonton have closed at the downtown mall. I've noticed that most of the Starbucks are only operate during the day. The ones that are still open only operate till about 6 or 7, and then they close up shop. So yeah, I have noticed that. You don't notice it so much in the neighborhood I live in, though, because the area I live in is more of a nightlife touristy area, so they have to stay open later here. So we're not getting the shuttering of the businesses in the neighborhood I live in, but downtown you can clearly see it. Now, when I started digging around and when I started asking questions about this particular issue, turns out that yes, indeed, Edmonton does have a tent city. I haven't actually gone over and looked at it, but I mean, I know exactly where it is, though, because I was told exactly where it is. And it's an area of town that you have to specifically, unless you happen to be looking in the right direction at the right time, you will miss it, right? Because it's kind of like off the beaten path a little bit, but it's there. There is a, just like Vancouver, just like any other major city on the West Coast, there is a tent city in Edmonton. Probably fair betting that if you start asking questions around Calgary, there is probably a tent city off the beaten path in Calgary as well. You probably just don't know where it is because they're making efforts to hide it. The thing that really stood out to me, and because I don't ride transit anymore, is the absolute, and I talked to a couple people about this, is the absolute decline in the law enforcement, specifically along the LRT lines and on the buses. And in regards to the LRT line, what the mayor and city council have done is that they legally they can't do this, but the mainstream media here, who should be global CBC and CTV, are not covering the situation that has been occurring on the LRT line here. And I'm almost, if I've got some time this week, I might just grab my camera and do a run on the LRT lines just to confirm it for myself. There is a spot between Commonwealth Stadium and Rexall Place where there's a long straight where you can kind of like walk along the line. Apparently, there's a very large tent city there. Again, some place that you don't notice unless you happen to be taking transit. You're finding needles and drug users and whatever sleeping around stations and whatever. So apparently, right, again, I haven't actually confirmed this, but there is stuff they're making basically what Amarjeet Sohi has been attempting to do in Calgary is and by the way, I also found out that the Edmonton City Police have had and specifically transit security, but the Edmonton Police have had their budget cut. Same things happen in Calgary. Daniel Smith has actually had to bring in sheriffs to bolster the transit security, specifically in Calgary. It was specifically in Calgary that she did it. I think she's also done it here in Edmonton. Again, I haven't ridden the bus very much, but the people that I've spoken to that have ridden the bus have told me that things have gotten, specifically after COVID, things really started getting out of control. And what specifically happened yesterday, there was an incident where the entire of West Edmonton Mall got locked down because apparently, I don't know whether shots were fired or not, but there was a gun involved, and the mall went on lockdown at least for a couple of hours until they could clear it. And to my knowledge, for those of you who don't know about West Edmonton Mall is a tourist attraction. It is technically, there's always been kind of like a seedier underside to West Edmonton Mall. They made efforts to clean it up. For instance, West Edmonton Mall used to be open 24/7, and now they lock the doors at 10 o'clock, which I thought was a good thing. But I mean, when I first got to Edmonton, the mall was generally open 24/7. And with that 24/7, you had to deal. There was like literally a seedier underside to West Ed Mall that came out probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And the mall actually became a very dangerous place to be at night. You had to kind of keep your eyes open. And they changed the rules there and they locked everything down, right? Which was a good thing. The only issue is that, first of all, they had to keep Bourbon Street open because there was a lot of nightlife on that particular part of the mall. So Bourbon Street doesn't get locked down until later. But even Bourbon Street, they had to start locking down at some point because it was starting to get out of control. But I mean, things generally got a lot saner at West Ed Mall after that occurred. But this was apparently an incident involving a gun, and it happened in the middle of daytime. I got to emphasize this again. West Edmonton Mall is a tourist attraction, right? I don't think if anybody gets outraged about this and say that people should be able to go to a place like West Ed Mall and not have to worry about crazies fucking waving guns around and firing them, yeah, they're absolutely right. It shouldn't be happening. But it is. And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that both Amarjeet Sohi, and I don't know the exact situation in Calgary, but I know that Amarjeet Sohi has been trying to quietly push the same stuff in Edmonton that they've been doing on the West Coast, in New York and Philadelphia and Chicago and whatever. Like they've been trying to quietly push it in. They're also kind of like trying to do everything. They're trying to bury this stuff, right? So yeah, like downtown, for instance, Edmonton is not a very good place for parking. Like it's all like I always gotta fucking pay to park there, so I never fucking go downtown. Like I very rarely go downtown anymore, right? Um, I could walk there, and I have walked there occasionally, but I mean, it's gotten a lot. Apparently, it's gotten a lot seedier, which doesn't surprise me. Um, you know, so yeah, they're trying to do the same thing in Edmonton, Calgary that they've been doing on the West Coast, and I mean, we've already seen how it's worked. Like it does not work, right? Um, Daniel Smith is doing what she can, but unfortunately, I mean, Daniel Smith has gotten a lot of stuff on her plate, so she can't really interfere in municipal affairs very much. She can got a little bit more leeway in Edmonton than she does in Calgary because, of course, Edmonton's the capital and there's a Capitol building here, the provincial legislature building here. So she's got a little bit more leeway in what she can do in Edmonton as opposed to Calgary. But she's got a lot of other stuff on her plate. But yeah, the same thing, and this is probably because apparently also over the weekend there was a gun shooting. Officers got shot in Winnipeg. I don't know the details about that, but I mean, they've got mayors in all of specifically Calgary, Edmonton, and I'm guessing probably Winnipeg, that are quite happy to push this progressive policy as far as they can. And also at the same time, trying to make moving out to the countryside or living out in the countryside as uncomfortable as humanly possible. So yeah, it's not looking good in the West at all. You're seeing signs of the decline everywhere. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V. And with that, I'm turning it over to V.
Mic check, 1, 2, and 2. Can you hear me?
All right, you're good. You're good now, yeah.
Oh, people around the world joining you on that drug train, Edmonton. Yeah, I don't know. This sounds like your people problems. Little old Canada. That's not good for the rest of the world. No, I'm trying to look up who the hell Daniel Smith is. You know.
She's the premier of Alberta.
Well, I like to premiere something for her. Throw a little chocolate in the oil. I don't know. I have nothing. You know, and cops are getting shot up. You know, Canada's sounding kind of fun right now. People doing drugs, cops getting blown away. Sounds like my trip to LA. Let's do it. That's my vacation time right there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say. Oh, you've outlawed guns in all of Canada, right? Oh, no more guns. Yeah. You see how that works? Yeah, it doesn't. Only CD criminal people have it. She put it earlier. CD element. And that leaves the everyday person defenseless. Because cops can always be there. Even if you do have cops always there, then you're in a worse situation than you would be otherwise. Who needs a police state? We got the police state out here on the streets. You know what? Let me tell you something. So, since I've been back to California, in this little town, this tiny town of not even 20,000 people yet, I have seen more police cars. I'm talking the municipal cops, city cops, the sheriffs, the now National Wildlife Park Rangers, they patrol the streets. And you have the undercovers in unmarked vehicles. Every fifth or sixth car I look at on the road is a cop car. We want to talk about police state? And this is like every day. You just walk outside, you're going to see a cop car within a couple minutes if you're walking down the road. I guarantee. I've walked the streets of Wrocław in Poland. I'm telling you, I see a cop car maybe once every 6 months. So what does that say? I mean, I feel like I'm in a prisoner. I feel like at any time I'm gonna get rolled up on, profiled, and find myself in the back of a police car. Because you don't need to commit a crime to end up in the back of a police car. You don't. All you gotta do is not be the one the cop likes today. So it's, I mean, I don't know. You kind of got to make a decision. Either you have freedom or you don't. Because this whole duality of everybody's doing what they want to do, but yet cops are knuckling down. You got to make a choice, people. I don't know. Because when you have this problem, then reaction coming from the same place, they're going to be the solution to the only problems that they create. That leaves us with no choice, actually, unless it's to overthrow the freaking government. I'm always calling for that. My government, your government, I don't care. Anybody who's corrupt. Definition of corruption. Someone of authority that could bend the rules to do greater good. Or someone just bends the rules for self-profit. Doesn't matter. Someone breaking the rules behind the scenes to get more power. We need to put this kind of stuff in check. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'll pass it on to you. Go ahead, Steve.
I suppose without awkward silence there, it's my turn. Okay. I'm honestly not aware of any place per se in Calgary that's a tent city. Having looked quickly into tent cities in Calgary, there was an issue about 17 years ago. God, where was I 17 years ago? I was still here. Fuck was I doing? Like, I was still working in the Motel Village. Anyway. So Calgary per se doesn't really have one. And I don't know where they would be. Apparently the tent city that was broken up, that was around Shaganappi Golf Club. It was city-owned golf course, which is off of Bow Trail. But there's been nothing since. Now, Calgary having a drug problem? Oh, I have no doubt about that. Every city has a drug problem. Every town will have your drug dealers. You just have to sniff around and eventually you'll find something if you really want it. I don't. Never have, never will. So this is kind of a one-upmanship of sorts with Edmonton to Vancouver. Oh, fuck, whatever. Fucking petty level. Politics on a very petty level. Well, it's not as bad. Well, then it is a problem, isn't it, then? Wouldn't you say? And you guys need to try it. Well, then again, governments rarely fix problems. Let's be honest, folks. They rarely fix problems. If they did, there'd be no need for politicians. But we'll leave that whole fucking thing alone now, won't we? So for me, it's excuse me. That's something that I am not. I may hit rock bottom, but it's much more likely to be booze that would be my issue, not anything I'm going to shoot up or snort. I have no intention of that to begin with anyway. Now, I don't know how bad the problem is in Edmonton. And I'll be honest, I don't really care. Sorry, but I really just don't care. So I don't have much to say on that whole issue. As for the notwithstanding clause, I'm surprised provinces aren't doing this more frequently when it's in their best interest to tell.
Bruce, we haven't actually gotten to that issue yet.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought we did. Okay. Yeah, I don't honestly really have anything to say about it. Actually, I think that there was briefly a tent city off of 17th Avenue. There was that small park that's across the way from where the Canadian Tire's in Mount Royal. But I live a rather cloistered life to begin with already as it is. I'm hardly aware of anything going on in the city at this point. And I still want to get the hell out. I don't want to be here anymore. So, but I think I might have a couple of more options available to me to begin to explore that desired outcome. How long I'll be like that, I have no idea at this point. So I got nothing more. So let's move on.
Hold on. Hold on. So, we got you, the white man, on this call.
Yep.
So you take over the West. You take over the North American continent.
Mm-hmm.
Genocide, Native Americans. And then you take over everything, all the land.
Yeah, how dare you?
Now your own people are now having to sleep in tents. Does that not just register with anybody?
Well, first off, I'm Dutch and of likely Ukrainian descent. I don't know because the border has changed so many times the last 700 years.
For the purpose of this call, you are every white man.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. So I'm Irish at some point and would have experienced slavery as well too. Okay, you sure you want to go there? Because this is
that's more out of your drinking back, not because you're conquered as a race.
You know, you're acting just like a fucking feminist. I want some of this, but not that. And on that
you got to embrace the feminine side to have a little balance.
And on that note, I think we should move on. Hint, hint.
Okay, hold on a second here. Ooh, fuck! I finally found what I was looking for. All right. By the way, V, just as a side note here, it took me 13 hours to dissect that goddamn video you sent me with of Anya Turnbull, and I'm still not done. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, she sounds smart. Again, it's like Mooncat. She sounds smart. She like the video looks like she's done her research and everything. But once you actually start getting into it, it becomes very clear that doesn't know anything about the fucking manosphere or anything of what she was actually fucking talking about. And basically, all she was doing was just bleeding off feminist talking points and trying to like. It's very clear that she doesn't know a goddamn thing. It didn't do a lick of research into the actual manosphere. Oh, holy fuck!
It's not just me because I watched the video twice. I was like, does she know what the hell she's talking about?
Oh no, she doesn't. She sounds like she knows what she's talking about. But she sounds like she knows what she's talking about. It looks like this is the same thing that Mooncat did. It looks like she really did her fucking research, but when you actually get into it and you actually dissect it and you take out the sledgehammer and scalpel and you start picking it apart piece by piece, word by word, it's like she doesn't know any. Like she didn't do a fucking lick of research. Yeah, she didn't do a fucking lick of research. Like not a lick. Right? She didn't ask anything. I mean, I don't want to get into it here because I'm still editing the video. I have to do the afterword on it, but it took 13 hours of work to do. That's the thing about when feminists do videos like this, you have to go in and you have to, because you can't just like talk about a couple of big points, because what they'll do if you just talk about a couple of big points is that they'll just go, oh, well, those are just a couple of points. Everything else is correct, right? So you have to go in, you have to dissect everything they fucking say, because that way they can't fucking snark or get dismissive. And then at the end of it, you go, yeah, that's what I had to do. She fucking lied. Take your oh, well, you must be triggered because you spent all this time dissecting her video. And I'm thinking, no, man, she fucking lied. She lied blatantly. She lied. She misrepresented. She projected. She did all sorts of things. You're going to fucking do that. There's a thing called actions equal consequences. Take your gaslighting, shove it up your ass.
No, and no, it's not that you were triggered. I mean, like I said, I watched it twice. I'm thinking to myself, okay, either I'm too drunk to get what she's getting at, or to understand, or she is really beating around the bush and not coming out with anything.
Well, she says stuff, and it's like, and she doesn't bring any corroborating evidence. And the evidence that she oh, god damn it, this might just be, I might have to do an entire separate video on this. She used Laura Bates as a source twice. And it's like, Laura Bates, for those of you who don't know who Laura Bates is a feminist, and her gig was to go into high schools and elementary schools and fucking scream at boys and tell them how fucking bad they are, right? A few years ago, she started doing it. A couple years ago, when she started doing it, she started getting blowback from the boys in these schools, and that fucking triggered her, right? And it's like, and she's been one of the people in Britain that was really pushing hard to tried to pass that law in Britain and tried to make it a criminal. And when we get into the issue about Ireland, which is topic number 3, we'll get more into that. She tried to pass a law. It didn't go through though, but it did actually get read in the House of Commons in Britain. They were trying to make it against the law that any criticism of feminism would have been a criminal offense. No, I'm not joking about that. But anyway, let's get back on topic here. Okay, so yeah, now Rearson, we're going to talk about Daniel Smith. So Daniel Smith, first of all, the energy minister, and I mean, I knew this was coming, right? When they made Guilbeault, who was Trudeau's lapdog when it came to internet policy, back in 2021, when they moved back in the previous session back in 2022, when they had him trying to champion, and they made him the energy minister, I knew it was not going, because the Guilbeault is not a guy who fucking listens. Pardon the language, but he's just not. So, some things that have occurred in the past couple of years that give you an idea of what type of an individual Stefan Guilbeault and the energy ministry in Ottawa is like. They have discovered, for instance, this has been known about in Quebec for years. They have discovered apparently there's a huge reserve, not of oil, but of LNG, liquid natural gas, sitting, and you're going to love this, it's sitting between Montreal and Quebec City in the Gaspé area. Easily accessible, and apparently there's enough LNG there that if they went and properly, and by the way, LNG does not contribute to global warming. Just thought I'd throw that in there. They have tried, apparently there's enough there, and there's enough other resources in Quebec, but specifically with LNG, there'd be enough LNG there to turn Quebec from a have-not into a have, if they chose to, I want to exploit it, but develop it properly. The federal government and the provincial government in Quebec have actively done everything they can to block it. And we're not talking about something that's contributing to global warming. We're talking about liquid natural gas. Now, out here in the West, Guilbeault, specifically when it comes to Alberta, even though, there's some academic, there's one, oh fuck, I can't stand this guy. It was like, he led this dude, he recently flew to Dubai and like blatantly lied about the energy policy in Alberta, and like saying, "Oh well, Alberta's the reason why Canada can't comply with the zero emissions," and it's like, yeah, the reason why Alberta can't do it is because they don't have, like, in order to do it, they would have to they would have to basically hamstring 60% of their economy to do it the way that they want it done in Ottawa, right? They've also started seeing, like, for instance, if you want to develop any new oil and gas resources in Alberta, they have been the federal government has been intentionally running block. And what I've noticed, because this is something that I've noticed this year, because it's part of the reason why the camp jobs are so sparse this year, is because the federal government has been interfering so much that they haven't been able to reopen wells. They haven't been able to redevelop sites because the federal government has either been stalling or have been refusing to cooperate with the provincial and local authorities to get the proper permits for them to do it. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons why camp jobs this year have been so hard to come by. And I will discuss that with you guys offline. And despite frequently being told, specifically Alberta, despite Guilbeault frequently being told that this is the case, that Alberta is not going to be able to do it on the timeline that the federal government wants Alberta to follow, Guilbeault and the federal government have routinely ignored what Alberta has been telling them. So Daniel Smith finally said, just like what Doug Moe did with the pronouns, and by the way, it wouldn't surprise me if Doug Moe also did this with the energy policy in Saskatchewan as well. Daniel Smith finally said, you know what, enough's enough, right? Resource extraction, resource development is a provincial jurisdiction, not a federal jurisdiction. I am going to invoke the notwithstanding clause on resource development for the province of Alberta. And that's exactly what she went and did. Now, it's probably going to be, we're probably a little bit too late in the year now to get the economy, the oil and gas economy rolling, because this is the time of the year when all the camps open up and all the wells open up and everybody's working and da-da-da, except that's not happening this year because the federal government has done everything they can to throw a wrench into it, which is affecting me specifically. And, undoubtedly, Daniel Smith has been hearing about this. And of course, if you go to Twitter, or sorry, X now, if you start looking, you'll see the usual leftists all crying about, well, Alberta's destroying the environment, and which of course is just not fucking true. But you know what? Daniel Smith has said enough is enough, and she's gone on and said, no, that's it. We're done trying to reason with you, right? We're invoking, notwithstanding, just like Quebec did back in the 90s with the language law, and you do not have the legal authority to interfere in our energy, in our resource development. Period. End of story. And I was kind of expecting that this was going to happen. I mean, I suspect Daniel Smith had a lot of back and forth with Ottawa and with Pierre Poilievre and whatever before she finally had no other choice but to do. The fact that Daniel Smith had to resort to invoking notwithstanding to get Trudeau and Ottawa to back the fuck off on Alberta's economy says a lot. And again, right, like I say, this is a like I said, there's going to be a lot of local content tonight, and there is. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take the opportunity to be the most juvenile person on the call, on the show. Because I don't know anything about your Canadian stuff going on over there. I totally just tuned out. All right? Tuned out.
Yeah, I guess that's to be expected because you don't live here, right? So
it's not America, okay? No, but I will say I was looking at pictures of her. She's cute. I put it in her butt.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
Do you think he'll stick it to a woman when he given the chance? Oh my God, you're absolutely incorrigible. Don't change. Anyway, God. All right, so I mean, this isn't the first time this year that we've talked about, or the topic of federal interference has come up on the show.
No, it's not.
No. And again, at the end of the day, I mean, I read this back in 2008, 2009. I was at the new store of Memory Express at Skern's location, and the academic talk was about Canada breaking up, but it wasn't going to be Quebec. It was going to be Alberta that was going to lead the charge. And I'm all for it. I really fucking am. I mean, there's only so much a province can do when you have someone on your throat squeezing and then letting go, and then pushing down and letting go. And it's only a matter of time until well, I mean, there's been talk already of an Alberta Provincial Police Force, like the OPP or the QCP, I think that's what they're called.
Oh, there's an Ontario one as well. Yeah,
there
has been. The
OPP, and then the Quebec version of the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police. So it'll likely be called the Alberta Provincial Police, which makes sense.
You down with OPP?
Not other people's pussy, especially if it's already been used and filled up and left out to dry. No thanks. And besides, with V's version of OPP, what are the chances are that she's going to want to be? What are the chances are she's going to be able to pair bond? Fucking non-existent. I don't want to go there.
Well, I mean, I will say one thing about the OPP before I let Rearson step back in. The OPP was the one who basically told Rob Ford, no, you're not locking down Ontario during the COVID situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not going to cooperate with you on that one.
And that was the truckers coming into Ontario, because I think enough of them realized what was going on anyway. And they knew it was illegal, but there was only so much they could do, and no one was going to listen to them otherwise. So, and then she's also brought up the topic of an Alberta provincial pension, which would take out something like $500 billion or something like that out of Ottawa, and to be managed by the province.
Oh God, yeah, they are spurging out over that one.
Yeah,
nationally.
So there's a lot. Raging forest fire. I mean, honestly, it's like directed energy weapons from, planes flying over that will simultaneously make 10 or 12 plus fires in Quebec happen at the same time. But typically, talks of separation don't start off inflammatory right off the bat. At least normally they don't. It takes time for this to build up. And with what Smith has already been saying is that push comes to shove, I think she would be able to push the separation and actually make it stick, because unlike the fucking whiny Quebecers who keep screaming for more and more and more from Ottawa, and they seem to keep getting it every fucking time. Alberta, with the right market, which is the US, for oil or natural gas to work its way through however it will. We've got the lower population, we've got a large land mass, landlocked, but we have a large land mass, low population, would try to have as low taxation as possible, just because, funny enough, that spurs the economy on. Take less money out of people's pockets, they'll spend it, and you'll get that money back, and maybe even more, and you'll have a happier population. So, it isn't happening as fast as I would like at this point, and I certainly don't mind the idea of becoming the 51st state. But they'll probably have to bring in Puerto Rico just to balance shit out, so whatever. My opinion is that this is a lesson to the provinces that you can tell Ottawa to go pound salt if it's not in your economic best interest. And I'm surprised that this hasn't been used a lot more. So, and if at the end of the day this separates us from Quebec, and the Quebecers that are here are going to have to make a choice, well, either you're going to live here and you're going to shut up and be part of the fabric, or you go back over there and you shut the fuck up. So, excuse me. For Alberta to flip the bird back at Trudeau's son, because his father did that out in Salmon Arm, BC, on a train driving by, and it was another go fuck yourself moment in Canadian history. Oh, that's gonna be a recurring theme tonight. I already know that. But anything to tell Trudeau to stick it up his ass, mind you, he probably would like it, assuming that he already hasn't. Yeah, I went there. Don't care. But actually, now that I think about it, I'm just wondering if this is a precursor for the Federal Corporation of Canada to be broken up and shut down because the federal government's bankrupt. I mean, it really is. Anyway, just idle thoughts on my part. Anyhow, I got nothing more to say.
You know what? Let's come back in. I'm going to put pause on acting sophomore. Just make a serious point here. With directed energy weapons, they're looking for every way in order to be able to kill people, because the COINTELPRO that the feds do, I'm pretty sure they do it in your country too. It's just not enough targeting people and spending these, year, 2 year, 5 year, decades long campaigns to try to push people to suicide. But these crimes, these psychological operations that feds do, they're getting tired of that. Instead of beaming people with voices, hoping they will go crazy, after so much time. Well, you know what? We have real lasers. And the thing about real lasers is that you can't see them. So, but yeah, instead of spending all this time doing all these psychological operations, we're just going to burn people out. Just burn them out. Just like taking a magnifying glass on a sunny summer day. That's much quicker. That's much more effective. And so, yeah, something I would hope that you Canadians do, because it would take a little while to get traction in the U.S. You guys are a little bit more, I don't know, earthy, conscious. People need to start living in what's called earthbound. There's like these concrete domed homes, and they're like covered with dirt, clay. Yeah, those aren't catching fire. You don't need a policy, an insurance policy for fire. That's never going to catch fire. There's an answer to every one of these corrupt government POS organizations. I just wish everybody would just switch over from living in these wooden boxes called homes and start living proficiently earthbound. Electrical and heat. I mean, your heating essentially stays the same year round. You don't have an electrical heating bill that's so high. Hell, you can put solar on top of your rounds. Not to pay any energy. We need to get more ecological. Okay. We got just talking about the power, the development of the energy. Well, they're developing energy against you, not for you. You gotta educate yourself. Hop on board with what's going on, learn everything, hop off, and use what you've learned to defend yourself. All right, I'm gonna go back to being jolly lolly. I'm done.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to just say this because this is something that, I mean, even a lot of people in Quebec are kind of surprised about the support for separation from Canada. In Alberta is actually percentage-wise stronger than it is in Quebec for Quebec leaving. Yeah, it's another part of this, and this is something that's not very well known outside of Canada, is that what was going on in Holland and Belgium with the farmers there. Trudeau was apparently going to try and do the same thing. Here, the only thing that fucking stopped him was the fact that it's like he's already pissed off the energy sector in Alberta. If he tried pulling the same thing in Holland or Belgium with the farmers in Alberta, like Alberta would have said, like, that's it, we're done, we're leaving, bye, right? And that would have pretty much been the end of Canada. at this point. Keeping Alberta in Confederation at this point is Alberta effectively is the economic and provincial linchpin that's basically at this point, even more so than Quebec, is the linchpin that's keeping this country together. If Alberta goes, the country is going to go fairly quickly. The fact that Justin Trudeau has driven this country to the point where it's like, like, I don't think he's going to win the next election, although they're desperately trying to get the media here is desperately doing everything they can to try to get Poilievre to knock down. And I'm going to say it, Justin Trudeau is going to try to hang on till 2025. Like, he is not going to fucking step down, and the NDP is not going to turn its back on him. So they're going to do everything they can to hold on till 2025. On the off chance that Poilievre makes a mistake. But I mean, yeah, they are doing everything they can. Like, they want Trudeau to push up as much stuff as they can. So by the time, if Poilievre is actually smart enough to put two and two together and understand that they're gonna ruin it so much that Poilievre is gonna have to spend most of his first term just basically cleaning up the mess that the Liberals caused. And among the things he's going to have to do, and he's going to have to go right down to the city level, he's going to have to go to all of the major cities in Canada and go like, no. You refund the police, or we will send the RCMP in numbers to compensate for the losses. So that's really basically it. Like, Alberta is just, at this point, Trudeau is hanging on by a thread here. The percentage of people in Alberta that want to leave is sitting around 30%, which is more percentage-wise than what's going on in Quebec, which says something about how bad things have deteriorated here. And with that, I'm going to get on with the next topic, because the next topic is also a very interesting one. Okay, topic number 3. Riots erupt in Ireland over immigrant attacking children. They are been specifically Conor McGregor himself, former UFC heavyweight champion, has been particularly vocal. Conor McGregor is a guy whose mouth and actions don't really have a filter. So you're kind of expecting it. So what happened here? Well, Computing Forever, who is a YouTuber based out of Ireland who's been really critical, and coincidentally enough, whose content on YouTube is being throttled, which is why you don't see him very much anymore. Ireland has been taking in terms of numbers, in terms of percentage of the population, numbers even more than Canada has been. Like, the country is just like being absolutely flooded. What happened was that there was this Algerian pervert hanging around outside of a school, and he attacked these kids, and these kids actually stood up to him, and he stabbed one of them, and that kid ended up in prison. Turns out that I believe he had a previous criminal record, but it turns out that he had been admitted in, and because they attacked children, things just boiled over in Ireland, because apparently, again, much like Canada, the current government in Ireland is extremely progressive. Probably going to change there. Riots occurred. It wasn't pleasant. Conor McGregor got threatened. I believe he maybe even got arrested. On the photo slideshow that I did download a photo of Conor McGregor in handcuffs. I don't know whether that is recent or not, though, but it's going in the slideshow. Conor McGregor has been very vociferous about this, and I can't really blame him. He does actually have kids. He is a parent, right? He would be concerned about something like this. Of course, when I did the Google search and when I did the image search, the first thing that comes out specifically, if you go on Google, is, oh, well, this is far-right agitation. And no, it's not far. Like, being concerned about your children is not something that just the far right is concerned about. Anybody that's got kids. If some immigrant that you just let in hangs out outside of a fucking elementary school and attacks your kids, yeah, you're going to get angry about that. Like, point out a parent that wouldn't get pissed to the gills about that. You know, in the way the media and the government are acting, oh well, it's just far right agitation and it's Islamophobia and this is being they're doing everything. Well, first of all, also the media there did everything they could to prevent the fact that this guy was an Algerian immigrant that was doing it. They tried really hard to disguise that fact. And then when that didn't work, they resorted to Islamophobia and far right. And of course, the media, and they also started, the prime minister is attempting to use this to enact anti-hate speech laws and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's backfiring, just like it is in Canada, because the mainstream media in Ireland is bought and paid for, right? I don't know much about Irish history, but I do know that Ireland is a very stubborn. The people in Ireland, specifically because they're right next to England. I mean, they have a very obstinate, stubborn, to keep the fucking British out attitude. But I mean, it's been my experience based upon historical trends that the Irish are not generally a group of people you want to knowingly piss off. Just say it, right? And that's exactly what the government and the media there is doing. Gonna go out on the record and say that this prime minister probably is not going to survive the next election. Just like Trudeau is not going to survive, Biden is not going to survive. It's when I say that, I mean that they're going to lose the elections that they're involved in. And the same thing with Ireland. And I'm just like, they're trying to do everything they can to make it about far-right agitation and Islamophobia, and doing everything they can from what I'm seeing based upon on the Google search that I'm seeing. They're doing everything they can to ignore the fact that an Algerian immigrant attacked children outside of an elementary school. Like, I mean, I'm not in Ireland, but I mean, because we saw this with Sound of Freedom too. It's like they're like literally, for all intents and purposes, they are like literally in de facto running the Irish government, and the media there is running block for a fucking pervert, is what it looks like to me. And shocked, saddened again. And by the way, before I go on here, no, I'm not surprised. And and I said this a few times, and I'm going to say it again. The day I hear about something like this, and I'm like, meh, fuck, who cares? I don't give a shit, right? But I'm doing the blog, doing the radio show, so I got to cover this anyway. The day I become so jaded that something like this turns into a meh event, I don't care, right? That's the day I stop doing this podcast. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, I'm going to be juxtaposed on the position on this. So, just because of what I learned and seeing, the experience there when I lived in Poland, okay, the Ukrainians coming over the border, the black Ukrainians, yes, there are some, they exist, were not let over. Immigrants from all over India, Africa, told at the border to turn around. They refused to turn around. They were shot dead. So I would like to know the demographics.
They're playing the race card on this, absolutely, as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want to see the demographics of the immigrants that are coming over. Are they mostly white?
Well, this guy was Algerian, so I mean, brown at the very least.
That's what I'm saying. So when they let over all these people, okay, the population is going to be able to vent their rage because the immigration is happening. Now, the ones that look white, they're probably going to blend in and probably be standing right next to those people who are outraged, pulling up a sign, blending in. Somebody dark skinned does something, they're going to be able to vent their rage. It's a quiet genocide. What's happening on the borders of Poland? Quiet genocide. It's just psychological operations, man. It's just like war. The population is going to do their own filtering based on the media they're given. They're going to call out and call certain people criminals. Damn, there's a politician, very prominent one in Poland, and I keep bringing this up as a reference all the time on other shows, but there's this politician who just made a huge speech about not letting in people of color, not letting in Africans. We are the source of all diseases. We're the carrier of all diseases. He literally made this speech in 2022. In the year of 2022. I don't think there's been any progress made since Hitler at this point. So, yeah, no. Anything that anybody does, if this person looks different than everybody else, his crimes are going to be amplified and made into a big deal. If it was an old Irish pervert poking at some kids, you wouldn't hear about it. You simply wouldn't hear about it. Just another day in the neighborhood. But now, since mass groups of disenfranchised people have to move, yeah, of course you're going to get some criminals in there as well. And again, I think it's the responsibility of every government to set up camps at their borders and have a rigorous vetting. If people have criminal backgrounds, put them in border cities on as probation. Live in a border city for 6 months to 2 years. You make it without creating an offense. You can go into the air. You can go to the rest anywhere in the rest of the country. That's what it should be like. Criminals, when you got criminals, like somebody who's just going to go into your country and the next day wants to try to perv on some children, that person could have been weeded out quite quickly and not let into the main country. If they would actually do what it takes to make real societal, healthy societal transitions. No, they're using all these situations to keep racism alive, to keep the ability to kill indiscriminately alive. You know, this is like the ghost of freaking Hitler. I'm just it's made me ill. My stomach hearing how anybody. I mean, they weren't discriminating in the sense of the different colors. If it ain't white, it ain't coming in. On the Polish border, shooting Indians, not just Africans, Indians too. So I think we need to be careful the sensationalism of someone foreign committing a crime in your country. If you're not going to have better immigration policies and better process, that's on you. And I know it's the people who are quote unquote bleeding heart liberals and no, just let everybody in. Let everybody in. Well, again, there should be a process. You're becoming one of those people. You should be a part of that process. Start hosting some immigrants in your homes. You're responsible for the stuff too. At the end of the day, you should be making them go look at jobs, see if they're in before curfew. Train my teenagers, let them get on their feet, so that they can become contributing members of whatever society that they're in. So, for a simple fact that there are certain criminal elements being let in, just like in America with the border crisis that we have. Okay, for me, it's to believe that they're letting so many people and so many Hispanics into the country. Well, obviously for the Democratic voting, that's obvious. That's a given. Oh yeah, murder and crimes up. Yeah, let's push up the police state. Oh, Texans are shooting people because a lot of them are racist. Let's take the guns. So there's always going to be a side of the story that everybody's going to blindly follow. That's not the whole truth. And people need to be able to see the whole truth before they start reacting to theory. Because you're a person of basic consciousness. If you just react in your own little way to every goddamn thing that you see, you're a freaking myopic and destructive human being. You should not be a part of society. You should not have any power. You should not have any say. You might as well be in a damn prison camp for damn self. But that's where it's all going again. Anyway. All right. I can go on about this all day long. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Well, you're not going to have to say to this one, but I have to agree on the surface with the Polish decision to keep non-whites out. I mean,
I'm going to point out that Poland has not had a single act of terrorism inside its own borders. That has to be. I have to point that out as well.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to.
Oh, they're way too incompetent. The police chief blew up his own freaking office with a grenade launcher.
Okay, Poles are not exactly known for their intellectual capacity, but yeah, it's
blew up his own building with a grenade launcher. I was hoping he would blow his head off, but that's not what the news said. But
he thought the safety was on, obviously. When was the last time you'd used a gun? I'm not talking
But
about
I
the
mean,
thing
yeah,
you used
that
last.
is an actual fact, though. I mean, Poland is the only major country in Europe that has not had to deal with an act of terrorism from immigrants.
Yeah. And what if that decision is to maintain that?
Well, well, you say it from an immigrant because the acts of terrorism I've seen, you know, uh, groups rallying about pro-choice, and then you got these group of male skinheads come from the right side, kicking the crap out of everybody. Yeah, I've seen a lot of terrorism, and that's domestic. I'll say that.
Well, I think if you're relatively hostile to my feeling about that, that's fine.
Well,
We're here to be civil. We're here to discuss ideas. Then I suppose at the end of the day, you can blame Viktor Orban for at least.
I'm not hostile. You're saying if you want to keep certain certain groups of people out. Okay, there's no money on the border, U.S. border, shooting Mexicans, shooting
Okay.
Honduran.
Okay, believe me, if it was up to me,
Poland doing the right thing, they're killing people, they're killing minorities.
it's their country. They can decide to do what they want. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's the reality.
Okay, let's just get on with the topic here.
Murder is murder. Anyway,
Okay. Anyway,
unless you're in a war.
well, the thing is that in Eastern Europe overall, they don't have nearly as much of a problem with issues like this as was, and Naroki's going to remember this, that Suleiman guy that diddled a couple of girls in the West Edmonton Mall pool.
Oh, that asshole! Yeah.
Yeah. This is what we're talking about. Like these people are letting. You've said this already. They're letting unvetted people that they have no idea what they're going to be like, letting them in carte blanche, because this is all part of the penetration of the Trudeau government. You know where I'm going with this one. And this is all my opinion being, this is all part and parcel with what the WEF, which is an extension of the Rothschild family, who's playing cover for, I don't know which, maybe the Medici family. I don't fucking know. They could be playing for the black, could be playing cover for the black and gray popes. I don't know. And believe me,
Glad you don't have daughters.
Sorry?
Glad you don't have daughters. Let her bring a black man home. Say it's her boyfriend.
Well, the thing though is that Poland has been criticized of their immigration policy by the mainstream media here, and Poland can turn around and say, yeah, and we don't have the race problems, we don't have the terrorism issues that America has, or well, I'll bring it up just because Sweden is apparently like the rape capital of the world right now because of the low population of the people that are native Swedish to these people that, what was it? Where was it in Europe? I think it was in England. I don't know if he was Algerian, but he was Middle Eastern, probably Muslim. I had a sexual emergency and I needed to rape this woman.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
Like, this is the culture of what these people, generally speaking, are. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but all it takes is one bad apple, and what happened in Ireland is going to happen again, wherever.
And that's how you have succumbed to the poison of bitten apple. History doesn't show.
Do I sound xenophobic? Yeah, I admit that I do. I fully admit that I do. I mean,
but that's the thing, though, and when you whitewash history, this is the thing. This is something that The Caucasians especially accelerate that. There's nobody moving to an area, absorbing the culture, raping, destroying, and then claiming ownership. That's like literally what you're throwing around the planet throughout history.
Okay.
Now somebody comes into town.
Okay, bring that up to the Kazarian Mafia.
And that person raped somebody in your town. Oh, that person, that other culture, they're animals. It's just hypocritical, I think. That's all I'm saying. It's not just them. It's everybody's done it. If the person really studies history, you will know that Europeans get God. You want to talk about rape and pillaging? You had your own murder soup for ages. Vikings and all that, all these people.
Okay,
we're talking about the fact that an Algerian immigrant raped children.
I'm walking away from this one. I'm just walking away. Let me know when you move on to the next topic.
Yeah, we're talking about the fact that a Algerian immigrant raped children. Okay. Yeah. Not about the racial policy. We're talking about the fact that Ireland is based, and by the way, this is a proven historical issue. It's not just something done by the Europeans, the Africans. This occurred in Africa too, where they would. In fact, it is happening literally in South Africa. But because I spoke to a guy, I talked to a guy from South Africa, like they are using Nigerians to overwhelm the native South African population in South Africa. So this is not just exclusively a race issue right there. And it's happening in India too. They're bringing in non-Indian immigrants into India to overwhelm the Indian population. This is not just a strictly white thing that's going on, right? Japan is the only, Japan is getting really stringent about letting immigrants in because there's a faction in Japan that wants to do the exact same thing.
Define they.
They as in what?
You keep saying they.
They as in who? South Africa, Japan? We're talking about globalists here, like using mass immigration to overwhelm the native populations. Like it's not just happening in the West. Like they're doing this in South Africa, they're doing this in India. They have been trying to do this in Japan, right? This is not just happening in the West.
Mm-hmm.
I will be happy to, I will introduce you to the guy that I talked to in South Africa. I did an interview with him. Right? There's a massive immigration problem on the northern border of South Africa because there's a huge issue with Nigerians and people from other parts of Africa flooding into South Africa to overwhelm the native population. That's black on black. That's not race. That's black on black. That's not strictly
majority of the population of Africa. The majority of the population of South Africa is what race?
Is African. They're black. The overwhelming majority is the guy I was talking to about this issue is a black South African. I wasn't talking to a white guy when I did this interview with him.
I'm gonna show you some stats after the show. Go ahead.
They are having an issue specifically in South Africa with Nigerian immigrants coming into South Africa. All right, this is not just exclusively whites being bigoted, right? This is happening all over the globe.
But you're hearing about it all over the globe.
You're not hearing about it all over the globe because the mainstream media. Yeah, and you know this because you keep track of it just like I do. The mainstream media is doing everything they can to bury it, right? Which is why they've been so desperate. Which is why there's been so much desperation to try to get a hold of the alt media, try to get the alt media sources in the world. And again, because I don't know much about what's going on, specifically the specific details of what's going on in both India and South Africa. But I do know that at least what's going on here in the West is that they have specifically, that whole issue with what happened with Russell Brand, which was basically just a Trojan horse to go after Rumble, right?
Well, you reiterated my point in your own way. You're hearing about this happening in Ireland, not anywhere else.
Oh, it's not just happening in Ireland. It's happening everywhere.
I know, but you're not hearing about it. Unless you're hearing about it in Ireland. You're not hearing about it anywhere else. The other locations that you mentioned. It's not mainstream news. You're not hearing about it.
Yeah, you're not hearing about it because, South Africa's not in the West, and we don't get a lot of news from South Africa, just like we don't get a lot of news from Australia in Canada, just like in Australia, they don't get a lot of news about Canada. In South Africa, they don't get a lot of news. People tend to focus on where they're living. Unless you're making it a specific point to focus on world news, and you've only got so much time in the day, you're not gonna hear about that. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but the West needs to focus on what the West needs to do, not on what's happening in the rest of the world. That whole imperialism thing's got to it's something that has to end. It basically the U.S. has to. This is just my personal opinion. The U.S. has to basically revert back to a hands-off policy when it comes to the rest of the world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, let's just move on here because we're kind of talking around in circles here. Yeah, this is not the issue that is happening in Ireland and in Canada and in the U.S., in Britain and in Western Europe, and it's not just happening here. It's happening in South Africa. It's happening in India. It's happening worldwide, right? Like globalists are using immigrant populations to overwhelm the native local populations, and then they're using that as an excuse to enact globalist policies. That I don't want to actually out and out say it, but that's exactly what it looks like. And because it's not just happening in Ireland, because it's not just happening here, because it's happening everywhere, you got to admit, man, that sure as hell looks like collusion, and that looks like collusion and coordinating to me. Anyway, but let's get on with the next topic here. All right, so the next topic. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun on this one. So, yeah. Doctor Who. When the 11th Doctor decided he didn't want to do the role, they made Doctor Who a woman, which is like, okay, well, Doctor Who transforms. He transforms every once in a while. That was to be expected. First of all, Doctor Who is an alien, so gender doesn't really matter. But I think the previous Doctor Who actress, the actress who was playing Doctor Who, kind of got a feel for where the breeze was blowing, and she decided to up and leave. So they had to come up with a new Doctor. And, of course, all the woke content coming out of Doctor Who was also really killing the show to boot. So what do? They bring back Doctor Who as a transgender. I don't know whether the person's actually white or black or not, because I haven't been paying that much attention. But they bring back Doctor Who as a transgender. Let's just start with that fact. Doctor Who is not a human. He's an alien. So why does that even matter? Okay.
What?
Yeah, like, why does that even matter? He doesn't breed with human beings, right? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Race really doesn't matter either, But I mean, if, like I say, I don't know the full story, but if they made Doctor Who a transgender black person because wokeism, well, I mean, I took a look at the, I took a look at the ratings. Doctor Who has an 8%. Yeah, I shit you not, and this is on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, the critics are giving it an 81% score. However, the audience rating, and this is no word of a lie, is 8%. What can I possibly tell you except, yeah, people are leaving the show in droves, and it's not just because Doctor Who happens to be now a trans fucking black person. It's obviously also because, in order for it to go to 8%, it can't just be one thing. Like the writing has to be the stories have to be so nauseatingly bad that people are just dropping off. Like there's a number of factors, but it looks like much like with Disney, Doctor Who is on its last legs. Now maybe we'll get lucky and they'll bring back Red Dwarf, but knowing what the BBC is like, they will probably manage to kill off Red Dwarf if they bring Red Dwarf back. And hopefully they don't bring Red Dwarf back. Hopefully, well, actually, knowing what they're like, they probably would try to bring Red Dwarf back. Red Dwarf, by the way, was funny as hell when it was on back in the 90s. Very hard to do a sci-fi comedy, but they pulled it off with Red Dwarf. Do either of you two guys know about Red Dwarf?
I watched Red Dwarf growing up. I never seen one episode of Doctor Who. However, someone did break it down for me, and I'm familiar with the character. Now,
yeah.
Are you saying now what's new to me? Has it been retconned, or has it always been canon that Doctor Who was an alien?
Doctor Who has always been an alien. Doctor Who was never human. So sexuality shouldn't matter. Right? Because he can't breed with humans. Yeah.
Well, Doctor Who always changed every episode, right?
Well, he did. Well, I mean, when an actor got sick of playing Doctor Who or he aged out or whatever, they would basically, there was he had 12 regenerations, right? And the 12th regeneration was the female character. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to look the other way on that, right? But it wasn't just the character. They also went fully woke. They went woke, and now this new, and we're talking about the BBC here. They didn't just make him fully woke. They made him, I think, transsexual or transgender or whatever. And it's how is that even relevant? He's not even human, right?
Well, if they, I don't know, turn him white, make him like some intergalactic border patrol where he goes around shooting niggas, maybe they'll bring back the main audience again.
I don't think that would work with the BBC, but the show has an 8% rating. I don't think it's just racism. In order to get an 8% rating, you have to piss off a lot of members of your core audience on multiple levels, and it's not just racism. It's like the writing has to be bad and preachy. You have to be insulting your audience, which probably Doctor Who has been doing. Actually, no, I take it back. They have been doing that. They have to insult their audience. They have to have preachy, bad writing, bad stories. You could take with science fiction, you could take a lot of liberties. The only problem is that Doctor Who has an established canon, right? This is the reason. This is the reason why the whole that new show that's come out, the one based upon the Fallout series, is also running into issues. Is because they took some social, apparently they're going to take some social justice liberties with the lore, and unfortunately the Fallout series has got a very established lore in place that they can't mess with, right? and they're trying to do the same thing with Doctor Who. Doctor Who's been a television series, but I mean, yeah, they're taking, when you start, and this is the same issue that was happening with The Witcher, which is why Henry Cavill left. I mean, they kept disrespecting the lore so much that Henry Cavill couldn't do it anymore, right? Um, you know, hopefully they don't do this to Warhammer, because if they do try and do it with Warhammer, that series is going to be DOA. But apparently they have finally pushed it so far with Doctor Who that it's looking like the whole Doctor Who series is officially dead. That's how it looks like to me. It's got an 8% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which means that, it's not just one thing that did it. And there's a whole series of things that did it. And again, right, you can only take so many liberties with a series before you kill it. And that's apparently what they've done with Doctor Who. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, V.
No, everybody talks about Doctor Who. My mom watched Doctor Who. Again, popularity, people talk about it. Once somebody told me the premise of it, I was never interested in even checking it out. Got basically something that has no continuity, and you can just write anything at it. To me, that's sort of a lazy format. And the only thing I like to watch that doesn't have continuity, there's some like off the wall cartoons, some off the wall stuff that's just there to screw with your head every time you turn on an episode. Those don't need continuity bubbles. However, stuff that I would see actors in, real people. I mean, you're telling a story. You need to continue that story and build upon that story. That's the only way you can actually flesh out a character and to have some sort of relationship and rapport with these characters. Can't. So that's why I was not interested. I would think it would be. I thought it would eventually mutate something that we would hate. And here we are talking about it, right? So I guess I was correct on that. Yeah, no, it's just not a show I would watch. I mean, if they were able to have some canonized version that was, I don't know, maybe something out of its best years, made a movie out of it, I'd go see the movie. But no, I'm not gonna go back and watch 30 years of episodes. No, I'm not gonna do that. But Red Dwarf was the bomb. I thought it was that whole.
It was a computer with the lisp literally the first episode where they were talking to the computer and the computer had the lisp. I was sold after that, like right off the bat.
Well, the fact that the guy's on this satellite and he's all by himself, never to have any other human interaction ever again, that was intriguing to me. I've always been a loner. Especially parents at work, siblings are at school. I'm too young to be at school. So I was basically raised by television, early age, and I spent a lot of time alone. I was a latchkey kid. So it's just, it was a show that was for me. But, yeah, this Doctor Who thing, I don't know. I have no more opinion about it. Pass it on to Mercy.
All right. Now I decided to finally put the headset back on again here. Right. I enjoyed watching Doctor Who with the third Doctor, Pierre, Tree, something like that. And then there was, of course, the Doctor, Tom Baker. And I watched it going into Davison. And then after that, it just got too gimmicky. There was one Doctor that had question marks on his attire. And it was just... I looked at that and went, what the fuck is that? Nope, never mind. And when I did watch Doctor Who, it was on TV Ontario. It's basically the Ontario government channel. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Doctors 3, 4, and 5. And I just couldn't get into it after that. And then, lo and behold, decades later, and that's exactly what it was. It was about 2 decades, 3 maybe, is when Christopher Eccleston was brought in as the 9th Doctor. And he was quirky enough that he fit the role, in my opinion, very well. I thought he did a fantastic fucking job. And I guess the CBC, the Canadian Communist Broadcasting Corporation, they sunk enough money into it that they were co-producers, I believe, as well as the BBC channel. Got me hooked on it again. Loved it. Matt Smith was... Not Matt Smith, David Tennant. Phenomenal. He to me, he was the Doctor for the new kids, shall we say. And Matt Smith wasn't that bad. And then the last male Doctor, because that's the only way to say it. I couldn't get behind it. I just couldn't. And then that's when the signs of the wokesters and the feminists were starting. It was beginning at that point. And then, of course, Jodie Whittaker. Oh, it's not just her. It's not just her. And to be honest with you, I thought Doctor Who was done after Whittaker. Like, I just couldn't see it going any further. I don't honestly know what happened after Whittaker because I lost all interest at that point. And the less we have to talk about the franchise, just like Star Wars, just like Marvel, just like Lord of the Rings. I would even go as far as to even say Game of Thrones and The Witcher. I mean, we've talked about this with Terminator. Apparently, the Disney's going to do something with aliens, so we'll see how badly that gets butchered. Snow White. I mean, fuck. It's just the left, the communists, whatever their political stripe is, they are great at killing off creativity. They're great at they're great at killing off audience enjoyment. I mean, fucking George Orwell wrote 1984 as a satire, but it really was the Communist Manifesto, because that's what they're doing. That's where this is all going or has been headed. Of all the Doctor Who episodes that I enjoyed watching, especially during Tennant's tenure, was the episode that revolved around Donna, and she was the focal point, and she as a character, she had to have her memory wiped of what happened, otherwise it was going to be catastrophic. And apparently that's what this latest episode's all about. And it just turned into Donna just turned into a boss bitch. Allegedly. Haven't watched it. Not going to. I don't need to. For me to watch it, I'd have to look for it online, pirate it, Pirate Bay, whatever the case may be. And I will tell you right now, I'm just not motivated. I have less than a fuck to give. This is rather indicative, though, of... I don't remember which BBC channel it was, but they had a strict, basically, no white... We're not hiring white males for any positions within the company. Which...
Oh, that's the Big Black Cock channel.
There's more than enough porn for that. There's more than enough porn for that.
Well, you said which BBC it was. Well, they're not hiring white guys, so I know that.
Oh my God. After our last exchange, my friend, my humor is just not going to be on. It's not going to be there tonight. It just isn't. Anyway, regardless, like they.
It's like, okay. Look, if I ever have a stream,
what's happened with Disney?
I'm going to make you border guard, and I'm going to give you an assault rifle and kill as many niggas as you want to. How about that?
Let's just get back on topic here, please.
Sorry,
let's get back on topic.
I'm not going to respond to that. I am not going to respond to that. Anyway, like the issues with Disney have been brewing, and it takes about 3 to 4 to maybe 5 years to start to see, at least in movies, with the MCU, with the current disaster that it is right now. And with Doctor Who, I think that I hate saying this, but much like with Star Wars, Star Wars needs to be put to rest for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, they need to stop what they're doing, just release material that has been, that the audience liked, and what the audience wanted, and what the audience was happy with. I think Doctor Who probably had about a 20-year hiatus, and then they rebooted it, and now they've run it into the ground. Again, just like the franchises that I've already listed off. The wokesters are running everything into the ground. And they're trying to make entertainment entertaining for them, but they're not the ones that are watching this shit. Like the core audience of who they need to be, the eyeballs that they need either online or on the TV screen have walked away. And not so directly, but it's been a rather polite Elon Musk remark that we're going to get to shortly here. And that's been my feeling now for a long time. I mean, I'm having so much more fun watching. Well, I'll get to that, but I'm having more fun watching the corporate drama with Disney unfold. So, but for Doctor Who, yeah, sedate it, put it away for a while. Hell, even forget about it. Forget about it for the next 20 years, or maybe 15 years. And maybe, if we wake up, if the entertainment industry realizes that you can't go pissing off your core audience, no, maybe. I don't know. And I got nothing more to say on this one. So, back to you, my friend.
Okay, hold on a second here. So, yeah. Yeah, Doctor Who. I mean, yeah, they're running out of franchises to kill. The only thing that, for instance, the only thing that Lucasfilm hasn't successfully killed off yet is the Tomb Raider franchise, and rumor has it that she might, Kathleen Kennedy might just do the same thing with Tomb Raider, right? It's like they just, and again, right? I mean, you want to know one of the reasons why none of these, like for instance, they also tried doing this with another, with another video game series, Far Cry. They tried pulling us off Far Cry, and they tried to wokeify everything there, and it didn't go down very well. And Far Cry only lasted a season, right? Um, they're trying to do this with Fall. The rumor has it that they're also attempting to do this with Fallout, and it's also like it's not off to a good start. And we can see what's going to happen with it, because you can predict what's going to happen here. They're going to go out. They're making all of these basically social justicey type messages, right? And it's gonna get negative feedback because people just want to watch movies. They don't want to be fucking lectured at when they watch television, and they're gonna get defensive, and of course they're gonna roll out. You can almost set your watch by it. Because they're like literally, was I'm downloading stuff for the Kansas City Chiefs story. You know, you know,
You're okay. It is time that you get used to the idea, because you're being trained, you're being desensitized. Okay, you get ready for your shape-shifting overlords to come out of the dark and worship them. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm saying here is that, I mean, the pattern repeats itself. They come out, they roll out the insults, and like literally, right? I mean, as you guys were talking here, I was downloading stuff for another for content for the slideshow, and there's still, and I mean, I think this is going to leave both of you like gobsmacked. They are still trying to salvage the fucking Marvels. The movie, I mean, it's like, give it the fuck up. The movie tanked. It's done. The movie is going to lose anywhere between $400 and $500 million. The movie fucking tanked. Stop. But they just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And it's like the same thing with this, right? They will do anything. And this is one of the rules of propaganda: do anything other than actually address the actual point, which is, like, don't tell me that there aren't writers out there that can write good stories and that you can't put a social message in a movie and not be fucking preachy about it. I mean, the first two runs of Star Trek were able to show and not tell. And we're able to do it very effectively, right?
The problem is, all the greatest stories have already been told, and a lot of these old type of stories used to reflect upon values that, well, the establishment, powers that be, no longer want you to think about or even adhere to.
Yep, I mean, Hollywood has basically got and I've seen this type of behavior at addicts engage in this type of behavior. They will write it out and write it out and write it out. And I mean, I want to be excited for Warhammer, but if they try to wokeify Warhammer, that series is going to be DOA before it even gets to the screen, because way too many people know about the lore. I mean, we're talking about the human race here, so race swapping the Space Marines isn't going to be such a big issue, right? Especially since they already have the salamanders and the white scars and so forth. But if they try to gender swap the Space Marines, especially since they've got the Adeptus Sororitas, or if they try to put social messaging into Warhammer 40K, that series is going to be DOA, because it's called the Grimdark for a reason. And it's like, you keep seeing this over and over and over and over again. I mean, Hollywood just basically has to fucking die, or what's going to happen, and when you're starting to already see it, is you're seeing independent content producers coming up. Well, for instance, Lady Ballers, right? That was funny as fuck, right?
Well, hold on. It's 40K. Make me woke. I know how I would do it. I would totally, I don't know, use gene stealers.
Oh, the lore of the Adeptus Sororitas would make for a hell of a movie, right? But again, I mean,
Yeah.
the Adeptus Sororitas has got their own lore in place, and the Adeptus Sororitas is like, I mean, like the whole lore with the Adeptus Sororitas is pretty fucking grim dark, right? I mean,
I would use genes
the gene stealers, Oh, I'm hoping they do a Tyranids part of the of Warhammer, assuming the series survives. I think they're probably going to go with the Horus Heresy first, since that's pretty much the central focus. That's just me, though. But yeah, we're already past the 2-hour mark here, so let's get on with the next one. We might be here for a while tonight, folks. Okay, so Elon Musk had a very special message for Bob Iger at this one event, because what's ended up happening here, and this is a direct result of what happened because of ARC, is what's happening now. And I think Elon Musk is probably privy to what's going on here, is that, I mean, the anti-globalists are starting to organize. They're starting to coordinate, right? They have sort of like come to the rescue to a certain degree of all the advertisers that have pulled out of Twitter. And now, you know, Sleeping Giants and the ADL and all of these and Media Matters, who had been attempting to manipulate the algorithm to get advertisers to pull out, and that attack that they tried to pull on Rumble, Trojan horsing it via Russell Brand and so on. Like, they're getting smart to it, and they're starting to coordinate, and they're starting to hit back. So Elon Musk has fairly deep pockets. So I mean, like, I think he's making it very clear that there's a business plan that he's got with Twitter, now X. So he's going to hold on to Twitter because he's got a bigger picture in mind with Twitter, and Twitter is part of it. So I mean, he's going to eat the losses, and any corporation that is smart enough to stay with him is going to eventually see probably a fairly healthy profit down the road. But, you know, the way that the wokesters and the globalists, but for most of the wokesters, have been trying to keep places like Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute and for instance Gab and all these other alt media sites, is that they've been basically trying to intimidate advertisers away from going to advertise with them. And to a great degree, it's worked because they've done stuff like manipulate the algorithm. The only problem is that, you know, they've been doing the same tactic over and over and over and over and over again. And what ended up happening is that Media Matters manipulated the Twitter, now X platform, to have a specific set of windows come up, and then they use that window to go to various advertisers who had probably already agreed to pull out anyway, and say, well, this is what's happening on X. And then when they go except of course now Rumble and Twitter are aware of how it works, because I'm gonna have to, this is just me speculating, but thanks to the ARC forum, right? You've got individuals now who were anti-globalists getting together and comparing notes. And they're seeing what's going on. So Twitter apparently had something set up now where they could catch this, and they caught Media Matters doing it. And of course, you know, even though they basically got Media Matters dead to right, Twitter and Disney and Apple, not that I really want Disney's business anymore anyway, pulled out. And what Elon Musk basically did is to say, well, you want to threaten me with advertiser money? And like, he literally looks at Bob Iger and basically says, go fuck yourself, Bob.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Like, and it was like every, like, I mean, like when he did that, when he made that statement, like the guy who was doing the interview was just sort of like up, and it's sort of like, and you know, again, while I don't have, again, everybody who knows me knows that I do not have Elon Musk up on a pedestal, right? But I mean, I don't think Elon did that by accident. I don't think, well, I mean, maybe it was spontaneous, but maybe he was just basically waiting for his opportunity to say that. And maybe one of the reasons why he's saying that is that he wants he wants that crowd jumping on board with him, right?
Say that verbatim.
What? Yeah, he literally said, "You want to threaten me with money? Go fuck yourself." That's literally what he said.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it. He literally said, "Go fuck yourself." Right? So either I suspect that Elon Musk is also getting, because like, I mean, I think he's getting like the globalists, for instance. I'll just, as opposed to just like naming each and every other group, the globalists have been doing literally everything they fucking can to get Elon to toe the line on this. And Elon doesn't want to toe the line. Elon wants to do whatever the hell Elon wants to do, right? Sometimes his goals harmonize with the globalists, sometimes they don't. But Elon is going to do what Elon wants to do. Right? Like, he didn't become the richest man in the world just so that he could kowtow to a bunch of globalists, right? That's obviously not that's not in Elon's makeup. Now, does that make him a hero? Sort of. Yes, no, there's some reservations I have about Elon, but I mean, again, right? He literally said that. And it's like, I'm thinking, what's going on here is, again, you're starting to see coordination with the anti-globalist side, and one of the first things they're doing is they're going after, and this is something that I'm amazed that they didn't start doing earlier, is that they're coordinating their lawsuits against stuff like the ADL and Media Matters and Sleeping Giants, and they're making these organizations now have to justify why it is that they're doing what they're doing, as opposed to just saying it. Just sort of like, for instance, that video that you sent me about that one woman earlier this week, which I had to spend 13 hours doing a breakdown on, right? That's literally what she was doing. She was just saying it and hoping that nobody was actually going to fact check, which of course I did. It's basically what Media Matters and the ADL and Sleeping Giants have been saying for years. And then basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to make people like, say, Tucker Carlson and Twitter and whatever financially unviable so that they'll knuckle under. And they're smart to that now, and they're starting to push back. And I think this was, I mean, yeah, it may have been spontaneous, but maybe I suspect that Elon Musk was maybe looking for the opportunity to tell one of these advertisers to this. And I mean, again, right, he's probably privy to some of the stuff that's going on. So I suspect what he might be trying to do, this might also be a business move on his part, trying to rally the anti-globalists or the corporations that don't like ESG and don't like what BlackRock is doing, trying to rally them to him. Now, is he controlled opposition? Maybe. Is he not? I don't know. I gotta say, especially given Disney's track record, telling Bob Iger, who, by the way, is apparently going to be stepping down at the end of next year anyway, saying that to Disney is something that I definitely approve of. And I gotta grab something to eat here. So, V, off to you.
Yeah, well, I think Musk is, I don't know. He's in the news too much. I think there's some play going on here. I don't know. If I were that freaking rich, if I had that amount of money and I have some FU money, you wouldn't know who I was. I'd be like one of these Rothschilds on an island somewhere in a control room. You wouldn't see me doing podcasts. You wouldn't see me doing, any kind of news interviews. You wouldn't see me trying to sell some product I just made. There'd be so many layers between me and the rest of the world. You wouldn't know you might know who I am now. If I were to get $1 trillion tomorrow, you'd be like, where'd V go? What? His phone doesn't work anymore? What? He's not living in Poland? He's not out with his RV driving across the U.S.? Where is he? Hell, I'd have me a nuclear submarine somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic, pulling strings, controlling the world. And none of you will be none the wiser. So, I don't know. This Elon's in the news too much. I don't want to form an opinion on it at all. Things will play out, and his true face will show at some point. If it's even important. If it's that important. So, I'll pass it on to you, Urson.
This is certainly not helping Disney's situation. And we've touched on it. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Elemental, Snow White, The Marvels, Ant-Man, Quantumania. I would throw Thor, Love and Thunder, only because I have a strong interest in Norse mythology. And that Ragnarok, had I known what the director's approach was going to be with Thor Ragnarok, I would not have watched it, but I did. The flops, the failures, the money seeping out of Disney could not. This is only, my opinion is that this is only going to help Peltz and company to have a hostile takeover of Disney. I mean, and this, I've heard people talk like, wholesome entertainment. Bullshit. That is the biggest load of horseshit that I can honestly think of anytime recently enough. I brought it up before, the castle for the Little Mermaid, right in the middle of that castle on that movie poster, it's a big fucking dick. You won't really see it, but within Cinderella and the fairy godmother's flicking her wand around, and they got the trails of the dust in the air, it can and does spell sex. You apparently see that with Rapunzel. There's the sexualization of children. There's a picture of a topless woman. You don't see it very quickly, but it goes by very quickly. That was on the Aristocats, if I remember correctly. And it really looks like there were 3 6s.
Sorry, no, that was the Rescuers, but continue.
The Rescuers, okay, thank you. And in with Disney, there's 3 6s in there as well too. So my opinion is that there's nothing wholesome at all about Disney. And we've talked about this before between Hiroki and myself. It's been brought up on the show now at least half a dozen times. there's pretty much an annual pedophile purge in the company. And I'm bringing all of this up. Oh, and then there's also the pedophile boy lover symbol that was on this one cat. I don't know, lion, whatever. I don't know what that one
That was Madagascar. Yeah, I remember that specifically.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, and then in the hippo's nostrils is the two pedophiles, the boy lover pedophile symbol. Now, why am I bringing this up? Everyone's focused on what Elon said was go fuck yourself, but after that, he basically said they're pointing the finger at Disney, but the other ones are no better as well. Just Disney's much more overt, only because of how wholesome of the shows they're supposed to be. Is Disney has a wholesome image, but they're doing seriously shady shit. I mean, Disneyland in Florida had, well, they have their own security system. They had their own set of rules and laws and regulations. They could do whatever the fuck they wanted. And I can only wonder how many kids have gone missing at that resort. Oh, and let's not forget, Disney Cruises did stop by Little St. James, and we know he used to live there, but he didn't.
I want to point out something else about Disney. I saw this on Lazy Masquerade. A kid went missing in Australia, and there's a photo emerged of him a couple of years later and I think you're going to find this ironic, Disney World, and the kid did not look happy. But continue.
Wouldn't be the least bit surprised. I mean...
But Disney's the happiest place on the planet.
Yeah, for the pedos. I mean... and then again... There was that one guy there was a guy dressed in some female costume at a store for little girls in Disneyland, and he's got one of the bushiest fucking mustaches I've seen in a long time. Family wholesome entertainment. My lily white ass. And I'm not offering a TV. I'm not offering to anybody out there. I'm just saying what needs to be said. Now, I am hoping, genuinely hoping, that this is all going to be even that much more fuel for the fire of what I hope and I pray to be a purge from top to bottom with the pedophiles in Disney. It would be fucking amazing. It really would. Do I think Iger's going to last?
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I'm hoping. I don't know the first thing about Peltz. I don't know what his personal life is like and the sort. But I'm really hoping that. Well, I don't see Iger. Iger's contract expires in 2026. I don't think he's going to last. He might last another year, maybe. I'll give him about 6 months. If the hostile takeover occur goes through, he's probably going to be gone right then and there. And I could see, put a chick in her, make her gay. The Pandaverse is going to stop. Like everything is just going to. Disney as we know it and all of its subsidiaries are going to grind to a halt, and it's probably going to be I don't know. I really honestly don't know, but this is entertainment. Oh, and then the other thing as well too with Elon's comments about not being blackmailed. Universal isn't doing any advertising anymore on X. Comcast. There were about 7 or 8 other companies that have pulled their advertising. So I'll have to look for it. I don't remember where I saw that on Telegram, but I'll look for that, and I'll be happy to share it with the two of you here, and whoever else is going to listen. But this could very well be within the Anon community, and with the Q post, there's a thing about the shot heard around the world. I think that this one actually qualifies because, as you said, I mean, everyone's talking about Musk right now and telling Iger to go fuck himself, and Universal and Comcast and whoever else, that he's not going to be blackmailed, which ultimately the strings that are being pulled is being pulled by the likes of BlackRock. Think at the end of the day. And as it was said in 1984, the novel, there's more. The population far outnumbers the people that are trying to push this shit. It's just that the people haven't found their voice, or in this case, the power through their wallet. I know that Disney stock has plummeted. Again, it's at a 5-year low now. I think it's trading at about $75 a share. And again, as I said it, and again, this only gives that much more power to Peltz and company for their hostile takeover. So this is going to be one of those moments in history. We're going to look back and kind of go, yeah, I remember that day. And I'm just giggling with absolute joy and glee. So I got nothing more to say.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff floating around in the background with this. My personal opinion on Elon is that Elon he's trying to set up a media empire of some sorts that involves Twitter. He has decided for his best interest that he's not going to play ball with the globalists, at least in this particular. And again, right? Elon Musk became the richest man in the world. And I mean, and this is something that I've noticed when I've actually had money to spend. When you have money to spend, I mean, you get there so that you don't have to suck it up to people with power and authority. It's like, oh, you want to do this to me? Well, screw you. I'm going to go do this. Oh, what's that? Oh, you're not going to assist me. You're going to take away my fund. That's okay. I got the money to do it myself. Bye. Right? That's kind of where I think Elon is at. Elon has a plan for this. I don't know what it is. I've heard rumors of an everything app, but I mean, yeah, it's Elon Musk is doing this because he's decided that's in his best interest to be anti-globalist, at least in this particular area. Is he do his interests harmonize in other areas? Yeah, is he controlled opposition again? I don't know, but let's move on to the next topic here. Oh, and this one is just extra special. Oh man. So a sporting event. The Kansas City Chiefs colors are black, red, gold, and white. They have the Chiefs as their team name. Kansas City has not taken the knee to wokesters in this regard. There's other teams in the league, for instance, the Raider Nation in Oakland is silver and black. So if you go back when they were playing in Oakland, you would go to games and you would see people with their faces painted half black, half silver, right? Or if you go to a Cincinnati Bengals game, you would see people with their faces painted half black, half orange, because the Cincinnati Bengals team colors are black, orange, and white. So this kid, and this is an 8-year. This is like maybe I think a 10-year-old kid or whatever. He goes to the game. He's got the headdress on, and his face is painted half black, half red. And this idiot named Karen J. Phillips decides that he's going to target this
Let's
kid
bring in Holden
with
Armenta
the
and his father,
accusation
Bubba.
of racism.
So, Bubba, what was going through your mind the second you found out your son had been targeted like this?
It's been a lot. It's been a pretty crazy couple of days. I was mad, upset for him. Mad that he's upset. He's pretty devastated. I mean, he's seen the videos and everything posted. He's excited. He's all over. It was his dream to get on the Jumbotron. And I've had family and friends call and, oh, we saw you on Sunday Night Football. So he's excited. But then everything else came up, and it's been a little bit of a spiral.
Holden, how are you feeling right now?
It's okay because a lot of kids at school are getting excited, but it's starting to get me a little nervous because if they go a little bit overboard, it's a little scary.
I bet it's scary. It can be a very overwhelming experience. How has the community been in terms of support?
Okay. So far.
Good. And you're a football guy, right? Don't you have practice in a few minutes?
Yeah, we're getting ready to head out the door for all-star practice.
What position do you play?
Wide receiver and free safety.
It's amazing. And how big of a Chiefs fan are you?
Really big.
And what does it mean?
Because we went to the Raiders Chiefs game last year, too.
Nice. And what does it mean now that you're feeling all this love from Chiefs Nation? Everyone's going to be wearing red and black on their faces next Sunday.
Really good.
So, Bubba,
he asked me 10 minutes. He asked me 10 minutes ago if he can paint his face before we go live.
I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He's a great patriot. He's a great American, and he's a great fan, and everybody loves Holden. But Karen over at Deadspin doesn't. Bubba, would you like an apology? What would you like from Karen at Deadspin?
You know, I don't even know what to think about that. It's a little too late for that. The damage is already done. It's, worldwide. Now there's comments all over. There's, disrespect towards Native Americans and towards my family. We never in any way, shape, or form meant to disrespect any Native Americans or any tribes. The tribe we're from doesn't even wear that type of headdress. This specific headdress is a novelty piece. It's a costume piece. That's exactly what we had purchased it for and wore it for. Not in any disrespect towards any Native Americans at all. And it's been a whirlwind of comments coming even from other tribes, from tribal members. Some think it's okay, some think it's not okay. It's a 9-year-old boy supporting his team.
And you're going to be wearing the black and the red in, I guess, every Sunday for as long as you're alive, I bet, Holden.
Yep.
Forever, huh?
Who's your favorite player on the Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes.
My Eagles beat your Chiefs a couple weeks back. You guys did beat us in the Super Bowl, but I think we're going to see you again in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That'll be good, huh?
Now, if we're back in the Super Bowl together, the Eagles and the Chiefs, you want to have a little bet, Holden?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do a bet, and if the Chiefs win, you're going to get something very special, and if the Eagles win, we'll figure that out. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right, can I get a chop? There you go. Holden, Bubba, we love you guys. Good luck at practice. Good luck for the rest of the season until the Super Bowl. How's that?
Thank you, Jesse. We really appreciate the opportunity tonight.
Thank you very much.
So he intentionally, because there's no way he could have not seen that the kid's face was half black, half red, posts up photos of the kid, but he only posts up the photos where the kids were basically the right hand side of his face was black. He intentionally left out the photos where the kid's half of the face was painted red, and he tried to play the race card. It worked for about half a day until other photos started coming out, and it became very clear that Karen Phillips was attempting to generate publicity for himself, and he was willing to do it at the expense of, I think it was a 10 or 12-year-old boy. Things rapidly backfired, and they got even worse when it was discovered that the kid involved was not white, is actually Native American. Oops. Karen Phillips' result on this was to private his Twitter profile because he was getting a lot of justified blowback, but this is what I'm talking about, though, right? Because, I mean, I've seen Native Americans pull this. I mean, we might be actually having this as a discussion topic for 3, 4, 5. There's an actual recommendation that has come out that when we talked about this on an earlier episode where the government wanted to make any questioning of the residential schools thing that happened here in Canada, they wanted to make that against the law. Because it's like they can't, again, right? They can't, and this is what's happened with Conor McGregor over in Ireland. They're now attempting to pass laws in Ireland against criticism of immigrants. And, like what this basically happened is that Karen Phillips got caught attempting, and again, right? I mean, I'm going to have to go back to the native residential school programs. They have had 3 excavations in Canada of alleged massacre sites where they claim that Native kids were killed, and they've excavated these sites. They didn't find anything at any of these 3 sites. The mainstream media didn't report any of this, and the last time they did the report, I mean, the site in Manitoba, nothing happened. They didn't find any bodies, so there was no massacre there, which you would think that the local Native tribe would be happy about. But when the chief of the particular reservation came out, I mean, he actually looked pissed off and disappointed. It's like, what? There was no massacre. They didn't kill Native American kids. Be happy about that. Nope. He's pissed. The only reason he would have been pissed is because there's money involved. So, yeah. Are there a lot of fake race incidents happening? Yep. Are you going to see members of the media attempt to generate stuff? And I gotta keep pointing this out. This was not a white kid, and this was a fake race incident, and the kid's face was half black, half red because those are the colors of the Kansas City Chiefs, not because he was wearing blackface, right? And Karen J. Phillips was willing to throw a 10 or 12-year-old kid into the meat grinder to make himself look good. When it was found out, of course, Karen J. Phillips took massive blowback. Among the things that has occurred, and I think this is considering YouTube's level of hypocrisy, I find this ironic. YouTube, at least temporarily, took away funding for Barstool Sports from their YouTube channel. Like they got demonetized. At least they were demonetized. I don't know whether they got it back or not. Talk about hypocrisy, right? We're talking YouTube here, right? Yeah, Karen instead of like going quiet about it, he chose to double down, which is only making him look even worse. I don't know whether no, I did check yesterday. His Twitter profile is back up, but he limits who can post on his Twitter page now. But yeah, are there a lot of fake race incidents out there? I know this because I've seen them attempted. They've been doing everything. Like they want to find a grave with large numbers of native bodies in them so that they can justify what they're doing. And as long as they and it's like, and because they keep coming up empty, now they're trying in Canada at least to make it illegal to criticize the residential school program. And it's like, if the native bodies are there, just go to the Kamloops site and excavate them. But they won't do that. And there has been a long list of fake racist incidents that have occurred in the United States. And this is what happens when you start trying to play. Again, this is a typical standard, which is why, by the way, I haven't been sticking my nose too much into this whole thing tonight, is because it's like, this is a typical divide and conquer issue, right? They want you playing one race against the other. I mean, for instance, when I did that Best Buy undercover episode, like about them not hiring whites, I pointed this out in the episode themselves that, I mean, at least when it came to Best Buy in Edmonton, that Best Buy they weren't hiring Asians or blacks either. They were hiring almost exclusively people from India, right? When I posted that up, though, you want to know who came out most vociferously against what I was posting up? Almost exclusively, it was African Americans, right? And I even pointed out, like, dude, did you even watch the video, right? Because I say in there twice that they're not hiring fucking blacks either, right? Nope, went right the fuck over. This one guy, he argued to the point where it was like, yeah, you know what, dude, you're fucking blocked, right? Like, I say it in the video. Go look. They're not hiring blacks either. And Rusin was with me. We did this in Calgary. I think there's like, what was there, 8 stores in Calgary? I think I saw 3 African Americans in all of those stores. So yeah, they weren't hiring. They weren't hiring blacks or Asians either. It wasn't just.
You should have had me there too.
Yeah,
you should have had me there too. You can't speak for the black man, damn it.
So yeah, this was just. I mean, they looked really stupid doing it, and now they're having to backpedal because it was one guy, Karen Phillips, tried to throw a 12-year-old boy under the bus for wearing blackface and took photos that made it look like he was wearing blackface. And it turns out that the kid wasn't white. He was Native American, and he was actually wearing like chief colors, which is black half black, half red. So yeah, oops. When you start dealing with race, and this is something that I'm noticing a lot in the manosphere too. I'm seeing a lot of people in the manosphere over the past 2 or 3, especially in the last 6 months, doing everything they can to stoke race division. And by the way, I have seen whites doing it and I have seen blacks doing it, right? Like there is I'm almost starting to think that there is an intentional infiltration by a certain group of people to try to stoke race division inside of it. And I'm going to point out that, if there's a group in the United States that has been absolutely fucking shafted over by the laws, by the Duluth model, by family courts, by whatever, at that top of the list is going to be the African Americans. I don't know what the percentages are, but I think it's well over 50% of families in North America, and specifically the United States and the African American community, are single parent families. And I don't think that's an accident, because at one time, two-parent families with the African American community was the norm, not the exception. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
It's gonna work. There we go. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Blackface and redface at the same time. He's just covering his bases. You know, gotta be multi ethnic. You know what I mean? Well, you know, this is the thing, okay? And this needs to stop. It really does need to stop. You as a white person or whatever, you see a racial atrocity. You know, that's either it's a racial atrocity or it's just something that makes you uncomfortable. It's one or the other. If there's a racial atrocity, then speak up, by all means. Speak up, be a witness, do your due diligence to make sure there's justice for any victims. Now, if there's just something slightly to be misconceived as some kind of racial insensitiveness, well, you might feel a certain way about something, but it's probably best you just shut up and move along. Go about your business. Because there's obviously going to be some things that people don't understand. Some things, some customs, some things that they've never seen before. You want to get educated, ask a question. That's about the best you can do. If you think that something might be culturally insensitive, you might get educated on something. But of course, we know that these people that make a big fuss about things are just these people. It's the same part of the brain, it's the same part of the personality that makes a person racist, that can make someone so raging at something that is totally just makes them feel uncomfortable. It's just a reason to feel powerful and superior. It's just another reason. Different type of persecution, same part of the brain. How dare that white guy wear the Indian costume? Now, in this situation, it was a real Native American, but you know, it was supposed to go the opposite direction. It's supposed to go the other way, and it's just persecution for persecution's sake. That's the real problem. You know, these psychopaths, these sociopaths, and I hate to say it, the majority of this white culture, they're going to find a reason to act freaking superior. And if that doesn't work, they're going to claw for a victim space that they do not deserve. And that's the real plague of the social sphere right now, the social climate. These people need to get off of it. I can't imagine what it's like just being into somebody else's life, being so into somebody else's business that their presence offends me. What they're wearing or what they're saying or color of skin. You gotta be so void of your own self-worth that you have to find your purpose in screwing with somebody else. And that is the real cancer in society. Feds, cops, worried about what you put in your body. It's none of your business. F off. None of your goddamn business. If I want to smoke a blunt, drink a 40, well, damn, that's what I'm gonna do. If I want to wear, if I want to wear my dashiki, if I want to wear, it doesn't matter. And then you got these people. I love it when I meet these white people. I am the 1/32nd Native American. No. I'm sorry. That just what you're doing right now. Like what tribe are you with right now? Where are you registered? You know, I gotta start asking these kind of questions when they push crap off on me and think I'm gonna buy it. They didn't push it off on me. I wouldn't care. You know, I'm allowed to do this. I'm a 16th. You know what? I'm a 16th Italian. Do you see me throwing pizza dough up in the air?
Pasta fazoo.
And I have a great grandfather who's an Italian white man. So I mean, do I feel like I'm in the mafia? Do I need to go and grab my balls talking about gabagoos? No, that would get me killed. Depending on where I am in the country.
Michael Jackson did the same thing.
Man. You know what's something funny? I do have vitiligo. I used to get huge white splotches on my skin when I was young. So it's just funny you say that. Anyways, thank God I grew out of that. Yeah, so I mean, people just need to just be themselves and get out of other people's business. I don't think it's that crucial. Yeah, I really don't. I mean, if I were doing the example I just gave, somebody better check me. I'm not going. The day I identify as an Italian, as a white Italian, you need to come and check on me. You feeling okay? You taking any weird drugs today? You get hit by a car? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. People just need to just chill the hell out. I'll pass on the version.
Once again, okay. Just out of the curiosity of the person that decided to make this mountain out of a molehill. What skin tone do they have? I refuse to use the word race. Like, are they?
He's African American. Yeah, no, it was a black guy picking on what he perceived to be a white kid wearing blackface, and he went over and he took a bunch of photos. And he purposely used photos of where the kid only had the black side of the face, and he purposely didn't publish the photos where the kid had black and red. And it was also it was a preteen boy that he did this to.
Okay, all right, thank you. My apologies. I just didn't remember the genetic demographic of the person that instigated this. Oh, there's a word salad for you right there. Anyway.
Can I ask one more question for you? Was he wearing so the half the blackface, but was he still wearing like the headdress?
Yeah, he was wearing the headdress
Oh, yeah.
too. Yeah, he was wearing full regalia, right?
So doing blackface and the Native American headdress doesn't make any sense either. How can you racially spin that?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs' colors are black, red, and white,
I
and
understand
yellow.
the Chiefs
Yeah,
are, but if he's supposed to be doing blackface as a racial thing, not a sports thing, how can you misconstrue that?
Yeah,
well, he's doing the only explanation is he's doing it on purpose. Rearson, continue.
And
Okay.
that's where I was going to go with this. I mean, these are team colors. So if this guy's going to get all bent out of shape because he mistakenly, ignorantly, was not aware of what the kid's ancestry is, and looking at the paint, would I think that the kid's native to some degree or another? No, I wouldn't.
I saw a photo of the dad. The dad definitely looks like he's definitely at least part native.
Okay, so the father looks more like you, shall we say, my friend?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Are you going to be able to see those features under face paint? I'm going to say no. And I don't know what this guy's grip on reality is. I don't know what his motives are. I don't know the first thing about this guy. But again, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he was involved in BLM and other questionable organizations of that sort or another. Wouldn't be surprised. Is he? Don't know. Don't care. But again, it's people like this that are going to be doing their best to take the fun out of people's lives. I mean, if we're going to be going with this mentality, Edmonton, their colors are generally it's blue and orange.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and orange and white for the Oilers, yellow and green for the football team. Calgary, it's usually red across the board.
Yeah, the St. Peter's is red. With the Flames, it's typically red, yellow, and white, or shall we say gold. The Stampeders are red and white.
Yeah, I mean, and Toronto is typically double blue.
Normally it is, yeah. Although the Blue Jays have apparently a red shirt when they're doing their away games. Doesn't make any sense, but what do I know? Logic. But I mean, I'll take this to a bit of an extreme here. If this guy's going to get all fucking bent out of shape over this, then I should lose my shit on people, white included, that aren't Dutch if they're going to be painting their face half orange. I mean, that's really the only country that I can think of that has any color. Orange is really only associated with Holland if they're going to be competing in any sort of sport. And I'm not that. My mom's from Holland. I don't look it. I look much more Slavic than I do Germanic. But I could raise a stink over that if I really wanted to, or try to. I know I'm going to look like an idiot, which is why I'm not going to. But just to bring that point up, like, am I only allowed to paint my face white because I'm white at sporting events with this guy's logic? Where does this stupidity end? Now, if this is the only thing that this activist has going on in his life, well, someone needs to get a few new hobbies and needs to figure out more about himself, because this is just, it's pathetic. I can't say it any other way. It is just absolutely pathetic. Now, maybe he's got some bone to pick. Something's happened in his past. I don't know, and I sure as hell I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. Like, this only makes me, politely speaking, shake my head and just go, Cascave. Like, seriously, what the fuck is this all about? Like, you want to talk about a nothing burger? I think this qualifies. I really think that this qualifies as a nothing burger. So then what's going to be next? Like if this really blew up as a PR nightmare, then what? Are all of the sports teams in North America going to ask their fans not to paint themselves up? I mean, hell, why don't we just take it a step further? Why don't we just have white people not wear anything black at sport games? Just in case, they might want to be thinking that I can't paint my face black even though I'm a diehard fan and black's one of the colors of the team. Fuck me running. I got nothing more, man. I just don't.
Yep. It's again, right. Karen J. Phillips got exactly what was coming to him. Again, right. This is the end. And by the way, this is intentionally being stoked up, likely by globalists backed by Soros, because Soros, there was a clear, what happened in Ferguson, Missouri. There's a clear line. There was a clear economic line between Soros back and some of the protesters at that event and him. And of course, there's also all of the criminal DAs. Kim Foxx. So, by the way, we're covering this for 345. Jussie Smollett is going back to jail. Kim Foxx is not running again for office in Chicago. Shocker, huh? She was the one that tried to have all the charges against Jussie Smollett dropped, and had Jussie just kept his mouth shut, it would have worked. But Jussie couldn't keep his mouth shut. But anyway, let's get on with the last topic here, because
He's cock. Anyway, just saying.
Okay.
Keep his mouth shut.
Last topic, and I had to add this one in last minute. We were actually going to cover Jussie Smollett, but I mean, if you guys want to cover Jussie Smollett, keep in mind we're pushing 3 hours right now. So if you want to cover Jussie Smollett, we can cover Jussie Smollett tonight if you want to. But I will leave that up to you guys after we cover this. Henry Kissinger, probably one of the biggest globalist scumbags out there. He died this week. He had suspicious ties into to 9/11. He was definitely part of that Nixon crew. Somehow he got through what happened with that Nixon administration. He got through, coming out of it smelling like a rose, which is kind of strange. It may have seemed kind of strange at the time. It's not quite so strange now. Kissinger's been a full-scale globalist probably from the beginning. He's the one. He got trained by Rockefeller, and he allegedly was the one who trained George Soros. And I don't know who. Apparently, George Soros' son is the one that's going to be stepping up and taking George Soros' place. If there's an individual who, I mean, honestly, I didn't really. I mean, I have to always steep this into it. The fact that Henry Kissinger is Jewish is not an implication that every fucking Jew on the planet is a globalist, because this is something that I especially on Gab, right? It's like if somebody even sounds remotely Jewish, he gets accused of being Jewish on Gab. And again, it's probably because of the crowd I run in, because I've been to other sites where this is not the case. But yeah, Henry Kissinger is definitely one of the, I mean, somehow the guy managed to stay prominent. The 80, 90, he managed to stay prominent 50 years after he was out of office. You know, he's definitely he definitely played a part in. He seemed to be especially concerned with human population growth and stemming it. There have been it was caught in Kenya, but allegedly it's been done elsewhere. He was the one that came up with the idea. Well, you know what? In these third world countries, if they don't want us, the United States, and he was the one, I think he was the one who played a critical part in coming up with USAID. By the way, USAID got their hands specifically dirty with some stuff that happened in Haiti. And yeah, potential actually not potential, there was probably child trafficking taking place in Haiti, including one of Bill Clinton's personal assistants that got caught at one point trying to smuggle kids across the border. Yeah, he was the one that came up with the idea of having these quote unquote private contractors go in and issue medical services to these countries if they couldn't allow it. Basically, if you have USAID involved in your country, you have to watch them like a hawk. If they don't, then what they'll do is they have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Apparently, Bill Gates can't go back to India because he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, but they've caught them spiking in at least one country in Kenya. Here's another thing, and this is something that I haven't really gotten into, and this is something I think a lot of people will find very curious. There were multiple African leaders that were opposed to having vaccines rolled out in their countries. There was an odd spate of either assassinations, accidents, or attempted assassinations of all of these African leaders that were opposed to like having mass vaccination programs come into their country. But yeah, it was Kissinger who was one of the guys who came up with the idea of having these private contractors go in. And if you look at Bill and Melinda Gates, they're getting a lot of their money from globalist organizations, to put it mildly. Kissinger was really critical in putting a lot of that infrastructure together, which is one of the reasons why he stayed so prominent for as long as he did. I'm happy that he's not going to be around to see the fruits of all of his labors. I am kind of pissed off and annoyed that it's the actions of guys like George Soros and Henry Kissinger that are smearing all Jews worldwide. Because it's not, I can tell you that there's not, far from every Jew being involved, right? But I mean, it's sort of like, we're at the point now, at least in the alt media, where it's like there's like, for instance, MGTOW, for instance, has been accused of being a Jewish plot, and it was like, well, in order for there to be a Jewish plot, there'd have to actually be Jews involved, right? But I mean, anything that goes wrong, right? Somehow, it's all like somebody finds a way to blame the Jews for it, and it's the actions of psychopathic assholes like Henry Kissinger that are responsible for that, right? And again, I don't think his surviving Watergate was an accident. I think he had enough political connections that he was able to kind of sail through that without getting smeared. But I mean, I definitely think he knew something was going down because he was Secretary of State under Nixon. glad he's fucking dead. Glad he's not going to be around to see the fruits of his labors. And by the way, the globalists are never going to see the fruits of their labors, and even if they do win, they won't be able to hold on to power long, because they don't control all the information anymore. Rotten hell, if there is a hell, Henry, I hope you're in it, and I hope you're suffering. I hope you're paying for all the people that you've harmed and indirectly harmed because of your actions. And I, for one, will not miss you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, well, like once a year, I hear that Henry Kissinger or George Soros has died.
No, he is definitely dead. He is definitely dead this time. He's dead. It's been announced.
Okay. All right, well. Yeah, he's definitely one of these people who should be, there's only one reason why I hope that the Christians are right. I hope that Christianity is the right religion. Because if it is, yeah, scumbags like Soros and this guy, they're gonna burn. It's these people that make me hope hell is real. And yeah, well, if not, he's rotting in the freaking ground right now. Kissinger can kiss my ass, because my legacy will live in direct opposition to his. And that is what counts. Pearson, go ahead.
Death is too good for that man. There was a quote, and I think I saved it on my phone, actually. Let me just take a quick look here. Oh, for fuck's sakes, I'm still getting used to this damn thing. He basically is talking about the scamdemic, talking about population control and extermination, and this is a great way for everybody here to make money, because we're going to scare the sheep shitless, and they're going to be happy, very, very happy with allowing themselves to be exterminated. I wish I was making this up, folks. I really do. But I know I'm not. Oh, where the fucking hell is it? Okay, I'll look for it later and I'll post it. But I consider this man to be pure evil. I mean, people talk about Hitler. I think that this guy took notes from what he did and decided, like, you know what? I'm going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to make this guy, I'm going to do worse, but he worked in the background. I can only imagine what atrocities he could basically be responsible for in Cambodia. That was the Khmer Rouge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Khmer Rouge.
So he probably had his fingers in that. But I mean, if you were being tutored, or if you were educated, and I use that term very loosely, by the likes of David Rockefeller, you know, the Khazarian mafia, he fit right in, at least in terms of the initial requirement of faith, shall we say. But not going to say he's Jewish. I'll say that he's a fake Jew. Well, he was a fake Jew. It's understandably, it's people like him that are not helping with the perception of the Khazarian mafia. He's proven to be ruthless, very much uncaring. I can only imagine that, and I've heard of some sect within the Judeo faith, and I'll use that term questionably, that they are the chosen ones. They are the anointed ones, or the anointed ones, and whatever that is, and everybody else doesn't fucking matter. I would, the way I'm kind of feeling about the man, I would love to have been the one to pull the trigger and to blow his head off, if I could. Which obviously I didn't. Too far away. I don't know, just I can't even call him a man. He wears the skin of looking human. I would say that he has a very dark heart, and his soul is, well, I don't think he has one. I mean, everything that he did was for power and money. Well, as the saying goes, you can't take it with you. And thank God for that. So if there is a hell, if there is a place where he can rot and be trapped, and if there is such thing as eternity and in some sort of a prison, I hope he's there. I really do. Because I cannot think of a more disgusting human being. I thought George Soros was bad, but what this guy has done, the body count, and I'm not talking, well, I can only...
Kissinger trained Soros. That gives you an idea of what type of a person we're dealing with.
Yeah, as I was saying, I don't think the man had a soul. If he did have one, it would have been before getting out of the concentration camps. I can only imagine how... No doubt he's got his memoir about all of that as well, too, but... He's gone. I'm hoping every aspect of his genetic legacy that is like him will be taken out if they haven't already. And I wish I was kidding about that, but I'm not. It's... Well, actually earlier this year he was... I think it was like in February, so what V was saying about Kissinger having died... he apparently died when he was 99, but apparently 98, 97, 96, 95. And going back from all of that. So now what we have to do now is just get rid of the likes of Soros's offspring and all of those people in the Khazarian mafia that are hell-bent on being no different. So if Q is a real thing, if the Anons are right, which I'm a part of, and I hope that I am, I'm hoping that they have been given a choice. Step down, stop your fucking shenanigans, or we will round you up and you'll be Gitmo'd at best. And that's all they've got to say. The world, actually no, here we go. The world just became a little bit of a better place last week. So, and that's all they got to say.
Yep. He will not be missed. Okay, guys, Juicy Smollett lost his appeal. this week. So he's going to the big house. He's going to jail. Now, we have
He'll
two
have
choices
fun.
here. He'll definitely he'll make some. He's only in there for like 51 days anyway, but I mean he will be somebody's prison love buddy in no time at all. So do we want to do him or do we want to call it tonight?
I'm good not to.
Let's flush the toilet.
What?
Oh, I haven't done that in a long time. I
I was gonna
can't.
say let's we can't do the toilet.
Okay.
Toilet.
Okay. Let me get my phone ready.
Well, yeah, take it to the toilet. Okay, yeah. So yeah, well, we'll just take care of it here. We don't usually do 8 topics, but we will do 8 topics. Rearson, toilet flush at the ready.
At the ready.
So yeah, let's give Juicy Smollett the official Red Pill Nation. Actually, it used to be Nihilist that would give the Red Pill Nation. But let's give him the official Red Pill Nation send off before we start talking about him tonight. So, flush away.
Yeah.
Flush away. That's an impressive flush.
Well, he's Jesse Smollett, but in prison he'll be Juicy.
Yeah, so he lost his appeal. Serves the again. We were talking about this with Karen Phillips. I mean, you want to? To give you an idea of how stupid this ploy was. He hired his 2 personal trainers to attack him, and he lives in a part of Chicago that is quote unquote liberal. So you wouldn't have. So yeah, at 3 a.m, 2 white guys wearing MAGA hats and carrying, especially when it was below 0, right? Walking around with bleach and a rope would stand out like a fucking turd in a punch bowl, right? And like the whole thing fell apart. And here was the thing. Kim Fox, when it first was revealed that what he was doing, Kim Fox pulled some political strings to get him off the hook. So it's like when you dodge a bullet, and we said this at the time when this happened back in 2019, when you dodge a bullet like that, you shut the fuck up. But nope, not Juicy Smollett. He had to go, oh, well, this proves I was innocent. And then he did this massive publicity tour and he pissed a bunch of people off. And so guess what happened? Donald Trump and a few other people personally politically intervened, and suddenly Kim Fox couldn't run block for him anymore. And there was a special prosecutor and Kim Fox had to recuse herself. The trial turned into this circus show, specifically by Smollett. It was very clear that he was guilty. Instead of just manning up and taking his punishment and then perhaps going away, no, he had to appeal, and then he had to fucking grandstand and play the race card and everything else, right? And like literally said during his sentencing, I am not suicidal. Like, oh my God. So he got the chance to have the appeal. The appeal got rejected, which you kind of figured it would. Here's the ironic part. If Juicy Smollett had just done his time, he'd already be out. Right? Yeah, Juicy, not going to miss you. You know what? You did this to yourself. You couldn't keep your mouth shut. And because you couldn't keep your mouth shut, you dug this hole for yourself. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah. That booty's going to be nice. Not just juicy, but nice and ripe.
Juicy, you got a nice mouth, boy.
Ooh,
dang, 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 dang. Okay, continue.
He's gonna. Ooh. He won't be juicy when he gets out. By the time he gets out, he'll want to put some Vaseline on that thing. Keep it from chapping and bleeding.
Here's the thing: when Burt Reynolds did when Burt Reynolds did Saturday Night Live, they did a mock-up of Deliverance in that on Saturday Night Live, and what it turns out was that the people that turned out to be two lie agencies trying to bust each other, and they all went into the tent and they all started partying afterwards, because it's sort of like, hey, yeah, right, we're out here in the middle of the woods, we got beers, let's fucking have a good time, right? So they went into the tent and started partying up. But continue, V.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a party for Jesse. He's gonna be juicy. Ooh, yeah. No, I really don't have anything to say. Except for he's gonna know next time not to double down, or he'll be doubled over. Go ahead, Rierson. Rierson. I think he gets excited by talk like this. He goes and gets his gimp suit ready.
Rierson, the gimp suit can wait, Rierson.
Leaving, we talked to Bob Iger
I hope
today.
they stop. Don't tap.
I forgot the fucker existed. I really did. I thought that this whole thing was all done, but I mean, obviously, well, that's where that went. This obviously is someone who is rather narcissistic and has too high of an opinion of himself that he feels the need to, well, make his presence always known, even though you don't really care about him anymore. Yeah, well.
Is that it?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, this is going to be well, yeah, he'll be juicy, all right. Okay, he could certainly get his fill of his protein shakes with the side of zinc to go with it. Oh, but hey, as you pointed out, Naruki, had he just followed through and not relied on political connections, because Kamala Harris is their cousins.
Yep, he did it to himself.
Yeah.
So yep.
Okay.
Sorry, are you done, or because let's do the official GS. I have a special tribute I need to run myself. So let's go give Juicy Smollett the what you can't flush the toilets.
No. I can flush the toilet. That's not a problem. I was using my phone. You guys didn't hear me for whatever reason or another. It doesn't seem to work. So I'm going to record it. I will send it to you. You'll have to edit it in. My apologies, but it is loaded as much as my bowels would empty out. So it's there. I'll record it. I'll send it to you, and I got nothing more to say. So
all right,
you're sent off.
All right. So I am going to end this show tonight with the Elon Musk statement on the Deal Book Summit, on his interview, speaking about his good friend Bob Iger.
To advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you.
And that concludes Red Pill Nation Hangout number 344. Went a little bit longer than normal tonight because we had a lot of stuff to cover and we maybe got a little bit sidetracked. But that is it for tonight.